Good evening. This meeting of the Livingston County Board of Commissioners is called to order. At this time, we have a moment of prayer led by Commissioner Sample.
You pray with me. Dear God, we thank you for bringing us together today in service to our community. Grant us wisdom, integrity, and spirit of cooperation as we make decisions for the common good. We ask your protection over all that serve our nation, and we lift up President Donald Trump. Grant him safety, strength, and guidance. Watch over our community and all who protect it. In your name, we pray. Amen.
Amen. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Fiani,
Here.
Commissioner Drick,
Here.
Commissioner Helserman,
Here.
Commissioner Domas,
Here.
Commissioner Sample,
Here.
Commissioner Nakagiri,
Here.
Commissioner Deaton,
Here.
Commissioner Panovich,
Here.
Commissioner Gross.
Here.
Quorum is present.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve this evening's agenda?
So move Deaton. Support Domas.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The agenda is approved. There are no correspondence for this evening. We now have the opening of the call to the public. If you wish to address the board, you'll have 3 minutes. Please direct your comments to myself as chair of the board. You would not be permitted to engage directly with the commissioners, and unfortunately, we're prohibited from answering any questions.
Chuck Wright, Handy Township, followed by Dan Gregory.
Good evening. This evening, you're going to be reviewing a resolution adopting the 26 to 30 Livingston County Board of Commissioners Strategic Plan. Part of the plan is the transparency and communication. In the past, I've asked that the accounts payable, both claims and payables, be listed on the county website for everybody to view. The transparency and communication portion of the strategic plan talks about presenting information for COLA and other issues. And I think adding the checkbook for the county would certainly aid in transparency, and I think everybody could benefit from that. And I don't really understand the reason why it hasn't been done yet. Thank you.
Dan Gregory, Osceola, followed by Mary Watalik.
Good evening. I'm here to discuss placing Fawcett Lake under Part 307 of Act 451. Fawcett Lake is a man-made reservoir created by a private landowner, completed in the mid to late 1960s, agreed upon by the 4 landowners it affected at that time. It was built for personal use. Over time, it became much more as the southern lakefront property was developed. The lake now benefits many more surrounding properties for recreation, aesthetics, and property values. Up until the early 2000s, the dam owner maintained the structure while others benefited. With limited resources, funding, and time, most of that maintenance work focused on routine items like erosion control, vegetation, and minor repairs. An important distinction between routine maintenance and major repairs needs to be made for longevity of the lake. Today, the dam is over 60 years old. It was not constructed to modern engineering standards or with modern equipment, but rather by a single family using limited resources. Over time, conditions such as seepage and erosion have developed and have been documented for years, alongside evolving state requirements. This is not unexpected. It is a characteristic of aging earthen embankments. In 2007, an engineering report identified deficiencies in meeting the state flood standards and recommended two options to meet state flood requirements. Either lower the lake level or raise and improve the structure. Lowering the lake level seemed to be the only feasible option at that time with the lack of funding and participation of other lake owners. Prior to lake levels being lowered, the dam owners at that time were taken to court. That led to a court-ordered agreement in 2008. The court did not choose to lower the lake. Instead, it required the dam to be maintained, required that the lake not be drawn down below the overflow level on a permanent basis, and established a framework for shared responsibility among the properties that benefit. But what it did not do was address how to implement that shared responsibility. While there have been attempts to create shared responsibility for funding and managing the dam, those have had limited success and have only been sufficient to cover basic maintenance, not the larger needs of the structure. That brings us to today. The dam is a liability if it's not properly maintained. That liability affects not just one owner, it affects the surrounding owners and community. And it's not something that can be handled informally anymore. It requires structure, consistent funding, and long-term planning. That's why moving forward under Part 307 makes sense. It doesn't just define a lake level, it gives access to the same tools municipalities rely on. Stable funding through a formal assessment structure, ability to manage, plan, finance major repairs over time, access to qualified contractors. It turns this from a loosely managed private responsibility into a properly managed piece of infrastructure paid by those
Thank you, Mr. Gregory.
who benefit
Thank you.
from it.
Thank you.
Mary Watalik from Green Oak, followed by Adam from Pinckney.
Good evening. Reviewing the 5-year Commissioner's Strategic Plan, which is under consideration for a vote today, I find several goals that are objectionable because, frankly, they are red meat political fodder. Our county leaders should focus on having a well-run county, not on politics. The section labeled God-given rights is very troubling. I am a practicing Christian, and I find that the items listed in this section completely contradict what I was taught about what God provides for us and expects of us. Regarding immigration and cooperation with ICE, the Trump administration is not following the law and is specifically using cruel methods regarding detentions and deportations. Since you put this under the God's rights section, recall that Abraham was blessed by God specifically because he welcomed a stranger. Then Jesus gave us a very simple command: love God and love neighbor. All immigrants, even undocumented immigrants, should be treated with dignity that comes from God's love. Regarding vaccination review and thwarting health information from the State Health and Human Services, I'd much rather trust professional medical sources that follow established and peer-reviewed medical standards. Our county's health board is staffed with persons who have subscribed to pseudoscience, not in alignment with peer-reviewed professionals. Just the other day, our Secretary of Health incorrectly quoted the efficacy of vaccines before Congress. Fortunately, he was called out for his lies about the studies. I do not consider pushing vaccine skepticism as loving your neighbor. Concealed pistol license advocacy should not be a goal for any county board. This is an individual choice, and this board should not be promoting the arming of citizens, and especially should not invoke God's name when stating this goal. Moving on to the section about communication, I was floored that you do not intend to use what you call biased media sources. I read this as you don't like media sources that report in ways that make you unhappy. This smacks of authoritarianism, where only those media outlets approved by the leaders will be considered worthy. In summary, there was far too much political baggage in this strategic plan and should not be approved without major amendments. Thank you.
Adam S. from Pinckney. Adam, I'm just having a hard time reading the last part of your last
I
name.
don't know how to read, so I wrote just scribbles. I'm just kidding. Shinjek.
Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Adam Shinjak, and I would like to stand and be counted. As it regards goal 2, you are using the state's institutions to steal my faith. I will not be a quiet German. Jesus said to feed the needy and welcome the foreigner, yet in God's name, you are doing the opposite by affiliating with ICE and encouraging the mass surveillance and abduction of our neighbors. This is repugnant. I will not be a quiet German. Jesus said, turn the other cheek. But you say, in God's name, grab a gun and stand your ground and shoot anyone who scares you. This is rapacious. I will not be a quiet German. You are a government body, not a church. Do not speak for God, or at least name the God you truly speak for, because it is not the God of Abraham. It is not Jesus. I see you for what you are, power hungry and scared. I am not afraid. Fear and faith cannot occupy the same space. God saved you from yourselves, and for our sake, yours.
Jacoba Copert from Village of Pinckney, followed by Beth Duman.
I am Jacoba Coppert of the Village of Pinckney, and I am a pastor. When I looked at goal 2 and saw what you had named it, I was appalled. None of these statements that are under goal 2 are protection of God-given rights and freedoms. In fact, you are that which is under goal 2 is opposed to what I believe and who I believe God is. It is opposed to what the biblical text writes for us. So continually review the comprehensive informed consent for vaccine administration. Care for the sick. Jesus said, care for the sick. Matthew 25. Jesus continually cared for the sick. And you're saying that's not necessary. I don't have, I understand that you have the right on vaccine administration. People have the right to choose that. I do not think that belongs in the strategic plan, and it is surely not a piece of God's given rights and freedoms. Adopt policies deterring the settlement of illegal aliens in our county and offer support to the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Love your neighbor. Welcome the stranger. Welcome the sojourner among you. Jesus never asks, God never asks for documentation. God never asks what it is that we, how we come before him. I am a first-generation American. My parents would have been deported. They had all the papers, but that doesn't seem to matter right now. That doesn't seem to matter. Implement a strategy to protect against constitutional mandates. Again, we are called to care for the sick. I choose to get the vaccines, not for my own sake, but for the sake of my congregation. I have people who would suffer greatly if they caught some of the things that are going on. And if I can do something to protect them, hallelujah, I am ready to do it. Strengthen the county's position as a leading CPL advocate. Oh, come on. God, thou shalt not kill. Yes, I know about the Second Amendment, but thou shalt not kill.
Beth Duman, Osceola Township, followed by Jill Lair.
I noticed something really funny here tonight, because the last time I spoke, the majority of you made the sign of the cross. And none of you did that tonight. And I was wondering if you were no longer feeling that connected to your spirituality as you were the last time I was here. I'm not an expert on this document, but I checked out a couple things. And I'm a newcomer to Howell. I've only been here 39 years. And, you know, this is a beautiful, wonderful place, but we continue to backslide and allow some really creepy voices to speak out here. And I know that because I'm on social media, and oh my gosh, there was a thing on there that ICE was here and people were saying horribly racist things on there. We need to err on the side of making up for that in this county. And you people are the backbone of that. So when I read this part here, I thought, this is a veiled, I have it yellowed out here, a veiled little thing saying, we're gonna be supporting ICE. And do you realize, I just saw this in Livingston County paper last week, I think, that 43% of the people who are having their lives disrupted, they're being pulled from their homes and their families and their work and their vehicles and their apartments. Almost half of the people have no reason being bothered, but for racist reasons, for racist profiling. We don't want that in our county, guys. You're the wise people. You're supposed to be the wise people. And I saw last time that you were the people of faith. And that is where you should be. You've got to change this county. We depend on you to do that. One of the other things that I noticed, and I'm not an expert on this article, but I have this thing about the noise of solar farms. So I want to just add this to the record. This is science. I'm a science person. I'm a biologist, teacher, whatever. I want to put this in the record, how much noise solar farms make, because right now they are a way that people can stay on their land. And it's actually, there are studies that show that the diversity, the part of the planet that we need, the different plants, the different animals thrive on those solar farms more than on a monoculture with, wheat or whatever. So they can be wonderful for our county. So I'm going to add this to the record. You can all get copies of it later, how noisy solar farms are.
Jill, Deerfield Township, followed by Wyatt Gregory.
Good evening. I'm here in support of Part 307 for Fawcett Lake. I'm asking you to vote the same. By approving Part 307, you're not just voting on a policy, you're helping to protect a beautiful Livingston County lake that was built by our grandfather, Walker Fawcett. This lake has been part of our community for decades. The property has been since it was taken up by the Homestead Act. Our family's been in this county longer than probably most people have been in this generation. Since it means a lot to our families, just like mine and as others on the lake. As a third generation family, which my family is, we're doing everything we can to be responsible stewards and take care of what was built before us. We want to make sure it's still here for the fourth and fifth generations to enjoy. Our grandchildren love this lake, and we want to carry on the traditions if we can. But right now, though, it's tough. There's a lot of resources and contractors aren't available to the private citizens like us. That's where Part 307 makes a real difference. It helps open the doors to those resources so we can properly maintain and preserve the dam and the lake. We're not asking for money to pay for the project or any of that isn't currently being done for other dams in our county. We are asking for access to resources to do this dam the right way. We've been working for years to find solutions and keep the lake in good shape. And this is a step that gives us a long-term solution. Please support Part 307 to preserve something that's part of this community for generations. Thank you.
Wyatt Gregory from Deerfield, followed by Brian John Kier.
Good evening. My name is Wyatt Gregory. I'm here to support Part 307 for Fawcett Lake. It's a private system that needs the public structure to function properly. We're not asking for public funding. Lake owners have petitioned to be assessed for this work. We're simply asking for access to the Part 307 framework that allows it to be done. Authority to collect the money, access to additional, many more contractors, MMRA insurance, 30-plus year payment schedule. Without 307, none of those 4 items will be able to happen. So, thank you.
Brian John Kier, Drain Commissioner, City of Howell.
Good evening. I just wanted to set some guardrails for this thing, and because my staff says I'm too mean to you guys, I can't talk during the consideration of the resolution, but they couldn't stop me from speaking here. What we're asking you gentlemen to do is your job tonight and to consider the petition for Fawcett Lake, specifically is the expediency of the project, which implies in practicality the necessity to protect public property, its value, health and well-being. The owners of this lake approached the county over a year ago and to petition for this process to move forward. And here we are more than a year ago, still considering this, and it's time for the decision to be made. What I hope does not happen is that this gets back into the meeting that we had last March 2025. We're talking about what's fair, who signed the petition that shouldn't have, or some other new outrage of the day, why we shouldn't approve this. And I'm not saying you should approve or not approve this. I'm asking this board to look at its job under the law, and we have a study that this board authorized us to move forward with last March. The residents spent $4,700 of their own money to have this done, and we have that in front of you. And our engineers, is our engineer here, or? He's in or out. He can be here later, but anyway, he can speak exactly that. But my understanding, really, the only thing appreciably came out of this is that the scope of the project to rehab this dam probably reduced from what we originally thought it was. So obviously, we're very concerned about cost and the limited number of people. So we are asking you to consider what was authorized at the past meeting, look at its conclusions, and make a decision one way or another on the expediency. There are always consequences. There's consequences if you move forward. There are consequences if you don't move forward. Ultimately, this lake will probably disappear, and we see other ponds in the area that will probably be impacted. We won't know that for sure. But we always find out that whatever we do, there is always unintended consequences. And so those are, of course, something you have to weigh on your own, but I hope you've looked at the engineering study and make your decision appropriately. Thank you.
Steve Williams, Marion Township, followed by Ed Wickman.
Good evening again, Commissioners. You may remember I've talked to you before about the 2 parts of taxes, right? We all want low taxes, but just as important is making sure that we get the services that we pay for, right? When I was on this board, just as you are for 12 years, I was proud of the fact we had the lowest county taxes in the state, but also that we provided good services. And what I'm here to talk to you about tonight is the horrible services that Livingston County residents are receiving from their circuit court. We had a deposition in Florida. You may remember the stolen horse. I've given you that documentation. We got him returned the last day of the year. It was 5.5 years, cost thousands and thousands of dollars. There was a deposition in Florida because we're trying to recover some of those costs. And the thief admitted to stealing the horse, stealing 2 dogs, one of them a 4-week-old puppy, leaving 10 other 4-week-old puppies to die without their mother. And she named the thief who took the other dog, Honey, who I've given you this poster before, right? The nice reward poster, Honey. I mean, all the documentation, ownership, the pictures, et cetera, et cetera. And he was stolen by my wife's ex-husband to give to his girlfriend. There is no question as to the fact that all those horses, all those dogs, all the equipment belonged to my wife. There is no question as to where the dog was. And because whenever my stepson would visit, there was a dog. He knew the dog. He knew the dog was stolen. Rather than do something about this, Judge Susan Longsworth attacked me, attacked my wife, would not let a deputy who had traveled 100 miles to testify, did nothing to help. We got the dog, we got undaunted the horseback the last day of the year, and Honey disappeared. You know where? No, neither do we, because Forrest probably killed her and dumped her at the side of the road because he thought that somehow the noose was closing in since we had recovered one of the stolen animals. How much help did we get from our court system? Zero. Instead, Judge Longsworth said, well, my wife had psychological problems because they had a difference of opinion, not this picture, but a different picture, what it represented. If the shadow in the picture was Forrest taking the picture with the sun behind him or the dog shadow, as you see here. She ordered psychological testing, $2,500. And that's not covered by insurance. You know why? Because there is no diagnosis. There is no diagnosis of a mental illness. $2,500. And she's threatened to throw my wife into jail, like she did with Hannah, who you've heard here before, because we don't have the money and it's not covered by insurance. Oh, by the way, we are the ones paying for my stepson's insurance entirely. And yet this judge decides that she wants to prosecute us. I've been a taxpayer here since 1990. I have never paid taxes in Florida or Oakland County or Macomb County, and we're getting better judicial service from those 3 locations than we are in my own county, where you all brag about how safe we are, and Judge Longsworth is creating a haven for criminals.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ed Wickman, Deerfield, followed by Kurt Schinnebarger.
Evening.
Good evening. Ed Wickman, Deerfield Township. I'm here to show my support for Livingston County to pass Part 307 for Fawcett Lake. I was actually one of the persons that solicited the petition in the very beginning and tried my best for 2 years to try to get the whole lake to do this, and we were finally able to get that. So besides the last year that we've tried to get this passed by the board, we spent a couple of years trying to get everybody bought into the same concept. It's only a small group of 13 land homeowners. So it's very hard for us to implement this type of improvements, even Lake Association implementation. And everybody else kind of talked about that. The one thing I want to talk about is Fawcett Lake is basically, it's a small lake, but home of a pair of osprey birds that I see daily flying around. We have some bald eagles that visit us. Definitely trumpeter swans, a pair that basically has been there for the last 6 years I've lived on the property. And then obviously you got deer and wildlife. One thing I kind of want to also emphasize, structure-wise, in the last year or two, we had 6.5 inches of rain on my rain gauge. And that dam, with some of its deficiencies and the surrounding wetlands, sustained that influx of water. So I know on the previous subcommittee, there were some questions about the viability of that dam. It's really the output that's the issue. The structure itself besides that appears to be in pretty good shape. So basically to conclude, I really hope you guys help us, small group citizens, that you guys can help us working through probably the Drain Commission, I assume, to help implement these improvements. Thank you.
Kurt Schinnebarker, followed from Deerfield Township, followed by Dan Callen.
Good evening. My name is Kurt Schinnebarker. I live on Fawcett Lake as well. As Ed points out, there's 13 homeowners around the lake. There's not one homeowner around the lake that disagrees that we don't need to move forward with some maintenance on this dam. The dam itself has been rated fair, and the engineers have come out and said it's actually in pretty good shape. We do need some work on the structure, the spillway structure itself. I am speaking today of one of those 13 homeowners that are opposed to Part 307. Not everybody was in agreement, and that's okay. We all have our own opinions on how we should move forward. Of those opposed, felt that we should create a lake association and hold the control of this lake, which is ours. It's a private lake, and take care of it ourselves. Lake association would help us in so many other ways, whether it's weed treatment or taking care of shorelines or muskrats or beavers. We felt that we wanted to keep control of that rather than turning it over to Livingston County. However, I will say that the challenge that we have as that group was putting the monies together. We all put money into the SAD every year. We have a current SAD, and maybe we could add to that. But the expense of doing a major repair on this dam is what is really holding us up. Part 307 addresses that. If there was another way that we could get that money, I would say, let's hold that control around with the homeowners themselves, or the lake owners themselves. Thank you.
Dan Callen, Deerfield, followed by Susan Pominville.
Hi, my name is Dan Callen. I'm a resident on Fawcett Lake. I've been there for 11 years. It is a treasure that we need to protect, and I'm here to support the funding of the 307 for the dam. I've been a real estate broker in Livingston County for over 40 years. And I would just like to say that it's so important that this government body help us to come up with a long-term solution for this dam that we can all manage financially. And the only way I see that happening is through an assessment. So I would like to encourage this commission to support this 307 for our dam and our lake and our lifestyle. And as it was mentioned earlier, the government is responsible for helping us protect our values. And I did a brief analysis, not very sophisticated, but helpful for larger lot lakefront properties. And essentially the value of a similar home on a waterfront compared to a similar home that's not on a waterfront is at least 30% and probably closer to 40 to 50%. So in other words, for those of us 13 residents that live around the lake, if that dam were to go away, we'd be financially devastated. And I support the 307 and a long-term solution. We have a group of wonderful neighbors. Everybody has been very cooperative through these processes. We don't always agree on everything. And part of that is why we need support from somebody else to help us manage the direction that we're going with this lake and to come up with a long-term solution. And a solution that can be financed. Otherwise, we don't know how many people out of the 13 could really support even the maintenance or the redo of the dam. So I'd encourage this commission to give us support and the government backing that we need to resolve this situation. Thank you.
Susan Pominville, Howell Township, followed by Stephanie Booth.
Good evening. I'm Susan Pominville, and I'm here tonight in support of Part 307 and the plan the county has developed for Fawcett Lake through their preliminary study. We're not asking the county for county funding, but access to county services to maintain property values. My family has owned this property since 1836, and we feel a strong responsibility to care for this land and ensure we're working toward a solution that allows the dam to meet state requirements long-term. Part 307 provides that path. We want to be clear, this is not a request for county funds to pay for the project. Part 307 gives us access to the county's process and qualified contractors. The cost remains with the lake owners who benefit. The dam has reached a point where updates are needed to meet current state requirements, and the county has already outlined a clear, manageable path to address that. If this is not approved, we are on a path toward a drawdown or possible removal, depending on the state's direction. A partial lake or loss of the lake will have a serious impact on property values and the surrounding area. Part 307 gives us access to a structure that's already used for other lakes in our county to address this. Let me say that again, shall I, if I could. So the point is that Part 307 gives us access to a structure that is already used on other lakes in the county and gives us a responsible way to take care of the dam long-term. Without Part 307, all lakefront owners will have a significant loss of property values. Again, this is not about using county funds, but access to services not otherwise available to private citizens. I appreciate your time and the responsibility you carry in making this decision. I'm asking you to move it forward. Thank you.
Stephanie Booth, City of Howell, followed by Ben Tassich.
One of the reasons the FAM meetings should be recorded is what a disingenuous statement I heard at the last one, or when the Fawcett Lake situation was being presented. Someone that was, I don't know if they were managing the meeting, but they asked a citizen, hey, can you fund it all yourself? And I just thought, wow, where is your head at if you're asking something like that? We pay our taxes here for a reason. Also, why do we have book banners and vaccine skeptics on this health advisory committee? And I found the opening prayer, what a ridiculous prayer that was. God bless Trump. Are you kidding me? There's no other more blasphemous person you can possibly talk of. I would compare him to an extension of the Antichrist, if I may. And I say this from someone whose father was an immigrant from Hungary. He got out of there because Russia invaded Hungary in 1956. And we've got a president on the side of all the evil people out there, in case anyone hasn't been aware. And apparently the aspirations of this board are to become a fascist society. And many of us citizens who have not been vocal enough disagree. The only people I see agreeing with it are mainly GOP adjacent. And it's disgusting. Oh, yeah, and the commissioner that goes door to door with the Christian literature, is he on that immigration committee? That would be worth looking into. Is he really there for distributing Christian literature? I found that questionable, and eventually that's why I called the police and said, get away from my home. Don't call me a left-wing lunatic. I grew up in a very conservative family, and I can see evil, and I can identify it. And for the love of God, get this Faucet Lake, do your job on this.
Ben Tassich, Genoa Township, followed by Dan Wolahan.
Good evening. My name is Ben Tassich, 28-year resident of Genoa Township, District 6, under the effective leadership of Commissioner Roger Deaton. Thank you. I'm here this evening because I have a couple questions for the commissioners to better understand the new county strategic plan being adopted. There are a couple of proposals in that plan that I would like a clearer understanding on. Goal 2, under protection of God-given rights and freedoms, bullet point 2 reads, adopt policies aimed of deterring the settlement of illegal aliens in our county and offer local support to United States Immigration and Customs enforcement efforts. The second one I'd like to address is Goal 3, under effective and efficient delivery of services, bullet point 5 reads, research the integration of private sector and neighborhood volunteer transportation providers into the existing system to create a more comprehensive and accessible service to the community within 24 months. Well, I have a few other questions regarding the strategic plan. It's a noble plan. It's a wonderful plan. It's a needed plan. But the couple questions I have regarding these two issues on immigration and on transportation. Question 1, what does each one of these bullet points actually mean? And how are we to understand them? And the second question I have, I think probably the more important one of the two, what process did the board use in getting the input necessary on these two issues? We have well-experienced people that work for the county, that are paid by the county, that lead different departments. And I'm wondering how much input did they have in developing this new strategic plan? And how much did the citizens? Has there been any input from us regarding this plan? Again, it's a wonderful plan, it's a necessary plan, but I'm hopeful that there will be some clarification by the commissioners. For me, I'll just keep it at these two questions on protection of God-given rights and freedoms, and the other one is research on integration of transportation. Thank you for your time, and my time is up, and the Pistons play at 8 o'clock, so I hope we can be out of here by 8 o'clock. Thank you.
Dan Wolahan, Handy Township. That's the last card I have.
Hi, Dan Wallahan, Handy Township. Two quick things. Speaking for myself here at the first call only. Number one, on the strategic plan, our concealed carry, I support our Second Amendment rights. We have one of the highest CPL rates in Livingston County. We have the lowest crime in Southeast Michigan. So we got to keep protecting our rights here, and it's effective for crime as well. Second issue is the master plan. I think that needs to be tweaked a little bit. The master plan that came from county planning, I agree with much of it, but I don't like that secondary growth section along Grand River west of Burkhart Road. That should not be secondary growth. That should be kept rural. Basically the land west of Burkhart needs to be kept rural. We need to keep a rural character in Livingston County. We don't need to open it up for major changes, including data centers. I'll flat out say one of the reasons right there. And so I think that should be tweaked a little bit. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone on Zoom who wishes to participate in the call of the public?
Yes, Commissioner, I have Suzanne Everett.
Can you hear me?
We can now, yes.
Okay, thank you. I'm speaking to the proposed strategic plan. I am disappointed to see several areas of bias and lack of clarity. I will direct my comments to 3 strategic areas, specifically Goal 2, protection of God-given rights and freedom. This is vague and smacks of partisanship. What are your definitions of God-given rights and freedoms? They are not defined in the document. As a Christian, my definitions and others could differ widely from yours. These terms do not belong in a governmental strategic plan and should be labeled with something more clear, such as protection of civil rights and freedoms. Furthermore, under Goal 2, you reference deterring the settlement of illegal aliens in our county and other local support to ICE efforts. I offer this edit. Adopt policies to protect the human rights of persons living in Livingston County and to evaluate the relationships with and support of U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement efforts relative to its ability to provide for due process, civil rights, and human rights in its interactions with all persons. Also under Goal 2, regarding the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, I offer this edit. Review new policies of Michigan Department of Health and Human Services with medical professionals as well as legal advisors. Also under Goal 2, strengthen the county's position as a leading CPL advocate in Michigan. I offer this edit. Repeal county laws or policies that go against the state of Michigan's gun safety laws. Under the strategic area about the county's rural character, the item about solar farms is grossly biased. I offer this edit. Investigate the health effects derived from solar farms, including noise levels and air pollution and air quality. Under the strategic area superior transparency and communication, the last bullet point reads, reduce reliance on biased media outlets for communicating county news by expanding the use of neutral, diverse, and direct communication channels. I offer the following edit. In addition to complying with all Freedom of Information Act requests, open meeting laws, and providing information and access for media and individuals, the board will explore ways to honestly communicate with constituents. That is the end of my comments.
Thank you. Is there anyone else on Zoom who wishes to address the board?
I do not see any, Commissioner.
Thank you. At this time, the call of the public is closed. Is there a motion to approve the minutes dated March 23rd, 2026, April 14th, 2026, and closed session minutes dated April 14th, 2026?
Motion to approve the meeting minutes as stated. Support Deaton.
Moved by Commissioner Sample and supported by Commissioner Deaton. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Minutes are approved. We have no table items this evening. The next item on the agenda is reports. We are fortunate to have State Representative Jason Wolford here this evening to provide us with a legislative report. Representative Wolford, actually, in his role as chair of the House and Oversight Committee for Prevention of Waste, Fraud, and Abuse, and also as chair of the HRCC Recruitment and Retention Committee, He was invited to Washington DC to meet with the Trump administration, and he'll provide us with a update on that as well. So Representative Wilford, welcome.
Thankful to be here with all of you tonight. Appreciate you. I missed apparently the opening prayer. I'd also like to compliment you on that. And as a sitting House representative and a Christian, I'd like to say thank you to the Lord Jesus Christ, our Father in heaven, and the Holy Spirit. I'd also like to thank you, Commissioner Helserman, on your freedom of speech and your ability to go and hand out tracts or anything on the Lord in your free time. So earlier, I think it was, I thought at first I was coming into a church service because I heard a lot of talk about the Bible and I think it's important that each of us as individuals make sure that we read the Bible to make sure that the things that people are saying are actually true. Now, with that said, thank you for having me here tonight. This is something in this role that I take very serious. I'm very humbled and very thankful. I was very humbled to receive Freshman Lawmaker of the Year out of 110 lawmakers. And I think that's a testament to those that showed up and voted that we are making a difference at the Capitol. And I know the decisions that we make in Lansing at the state impact families. They impact families in the state and also right here in Livingston County. So I'm excited to tell all of you tonight, and I think that this should make Republicans, Independents, Democrats, or whatever else that you call yourself in this room or those that are listening. I was able to put in and successfully get passed in the House budget a $6 million appropriation for the D19 interstate exchange. You're the first to hear that tonight. And so we're very excited about working with former City Manager Irv Sweda, Mike Dunn, the Chief of Police, and those that came to testify on the importance of this D19 interchange. So that'll be coming very, very soon. Also, we were able to put $300,000 for our veterans of foreign wars, those that have served our country in combat, and $250,000 for Crime Stoppers. For those of you that don't know about it, it gives people the opportunity to call in and report crimes without having to give their personal information. And then, of course, last year, a $1 million appropriation for the American Legion, as that place truly is a lifeline, not only for our veterans, but also for the citizens of this county that go in and are blessed by that. So those investments reflect something simple, that we back our veterans, that we support our law enforcement, and we protect our communities. So I'm happy to share that with you this evening. As it relates to the budget, I'd like to give you an update on that. As you know, last year in the budget, we worked very, very hard as House Republicans in passing a budget that cut some very ridiculous spending, and we're working on that yet again. The budget, our budget that we just passed in the House, it truly puts families first. We passed a balanced, structurally sound budget in the state of Michigan. It's one that cuts waste, fraud, and abuse, which we'll talk about here shortly. It obviously is prioritizing our roads, public safety, and our education. It's fixing the infrastructure, and most importantly, fixes the infrastructure without raising your taxes. You guys are a rough group. I'm hoping to see some smiles off of some of this, but we eliminated thousands of unfunded phantom positions and ended political earmarks that too often benefit insiders instead of us as we the citizens. As we talk about some of those ghost employees, I'll make it very simple. The governor had put forth in a budget a certain amount of employees that they need, and they never filled those positions. And your taxpayer money was being used for those positions, but they used that money somewhere else. And so we were happy to put a stop to that. It's pretty simple, discipline over excess and results over rhetoric. We've seen that time and time again. As it relates to oversight, ending the era of easy fraud, as the chair of oversight, I'll be direct, Michigan was one of the #1 target places for fraud. To the point that unemployment agency, just to put this into perspective, unemployment insurance agency, those that are working that can't work, then they are able to get on unemployment. We found during COVID that the state of Michigan received $40 billion. That's with a B, 40 billion. And that came with some strict guidelines. And those guidelines for the federal government were that on the website that you have for UIA a fraud detection back end. The governor and the administration followed that rule, but because it didn't say it had to be turned on or turned off, they turned it off so that they could quote unquote pay people faster. And this resulted in our work finding in counting, because we're still working, the things that I can share with you. We found 10 billion of that 40 billion. That went to, remember unemployment and what it does, that 10 billion went to people that were 15 years old and younger, the incarcerated, those in convalescent homes, and those that were over 100 years old. So in other words, fraud and money sent out because of dereliction of duty. And so I was very happy to put focus on this, continue to put focus on this as one of your state representatives. Also, we found at MDHHS and SNAP that they paid for a $16 million website, a website that you could go on and actually I did this live. People are welcome to go and take a look at it on House TV. I used Governor Whitmer's address. I used a fake name. I was able to bypass the Social Security number, the alien number, and then at the very end, have the opportunity to get registered to vote. And so we've worked with the DHHS on fixing some of this. We have an error rate in the state of Michigan at 10%. That's for either overpayments or underpayments. And what that means is we are now going to pay a penalty back to the federal government at a minimum of $350 million if we don't rein in this unorganization and fraud. And so I was very thankful to put forth legislation for chip-enabled bridge cards. We did that in our budget. We believe that this work is going to save you, all of us in this room, at a minimum $350 million to $500 million. So we're thankful for that. Also, photo and signature verification on these cards coming very soon to protect the integrity of the program. I think it's worth mentioning, too, that there's over 150,000 people on benefits that are around 20 years old who have no disabilities, no children, and aren't married, and they continue to be on the program. So we've got a real problem that we're continuing to work on. I said compassion without control is chaos, and I believe that we're restoring compassion and accountability in these areas. Also, public safety, we're backing men and women who protect us. We fully funded in this budget $115 million for Public Safety Trust Fund, $50 million to support our corrections officers, and then directing those sources locally to the police and prosecutors, removing, just as you'll hear in just a minute, the meeting with the president and his cabinet now 3 times. We have a president that understands, whether you like him or you hate him, he understands the Constitution and returning power from the federal government back to the state and to locals. And that's where I've stood also as your state legislator, as one of the 149 people that help run the state, is understanding that power belongs at the local level in some of those areas. So we've continued to do that. Last, education, we've delivered record funding in this new budget at nearly $12,000 per student, which is a 20% increase to help Michigan as one of the 5th worst states in the United States for reading and other things. So literacy and academic performance is down. We're hoping to help make a difference in that. We put record funding towards mental health and school safety, and that's from the House Republicans in our budget that we passed. And we believe this because funding without proper outcomes is just throwing, good money after bad, and that needs to come to an end. Government accountability, we're restoring the proper balance of power. I said this when I ran, and people really didn't understand it, and they sure do now. I talked about the 3 branches of our government, the 4th fictitious branch of our government that I want to shut down, that 4th fictitious administrative state, those that have come before our committee, like the UIA and DHHS and those that are rogue and out of control, and we're bringing accountability in those areas. Last, guardianship and oversight. Due to our oversight committee, I think we were very fortunate to see a lady by the name of Cornack, who was taking care of a woman, Tracy Bird, and Tracy Bird had been taken advantage of by Ms. Cornack to the tune of almost $500,000. It was dismissed. It was brought before the Attorney General. And you can also see this. We have emails where the Attorney General alluded to the fact that that Cornack was up for a judicial appointment and to move on this. But due to our work and oversight, she has now been brought up on embezzlement charges, and we're bringing focus to this. I think it's worth saying also that she was in charge of funding for the raise funds for the Democratic Party. So accountability must apply to everyone, not just one party or the other. Veterans, we continue to honor those who served in this budget. We put $26 million investment in Selfridge. Whether people like to admit it or not, we've got a problem with China, Russia, and Iran. And as you look back in history, Michigan and Selfridge was very, very strategic in Alaska and Russia and things. So we're continuing to make sure that we're safe here and others around the United States. We've expanded Medicaid accountability, expanded access by eliminated non-compete restrictions. I'm thankful for Commissioner Nick Fiani on bringing that to my attention. We hope to get that through the House as well. Election integrity, so important, and taking care of our young women. We were able to pass, my bill passed the House, protecting, keeping men out of women's sports. My bill just recently passed on election integrity, making sure that we have citizens-only voting in our elections. I'd like all to go back and look at that. And in closing, as I say all the time, from the State House to the White House, we're working to truly bring back accountability. We're fighting to bring back we're truly fighting to bring back true leadership. I was so fortunate to meet with the President's Cabinet, Energy, the SBA, the U.S. Trades, and meeting with one-on-one with Robert Kennedy. We talked about health earlier. Guy's in phenomenal shape. And so I'm so thankful for his role and what he's doing. But to have a one-on-one conversation with him on billions of dollars of fraud, a guy from Livingston County who was born and raised here, having a one-on-one conversation with one of the Kennedys, Robert Kennedy, on the fraud that we found. And, I would say this, that it was a true privilege because the President's White House policy team pulled us aside and said that they were very happy on the UIA legislation that we've had coming right here out of Livingston County, that they want to adopt and incorporate across the United States of America. And then also we have a very, very big problem in the state of Michigan, and that is with the trades. A majority of people that are my age are getting ready to retire at 54, and a majority of them don't even have employees to take over their businesses. And so after looking at this, I thought, how could we use senioritis to our advantage? And so we have legislation that's getting ready to come to the House floor here very soon. By the way, superintendents love it because they don't lose their funding for their student. And also the trades love it because what it will do is a senior, instead of having to go to school his senior year or her senior year, would be able to go and work in one of the main trades. They would get credit for whatever electives they need to fulfill through that job. And then also that business owner would get a tax credit. And in 1 year, it fixes the problem that we have in this state so much that the President's policy team also wants to incorporate that in the other states. And so very, very thankful. So in closing, let me leave you with this. Whether it's in Lansing or Washington, whether you're a Democrat or Republican or independent, my mission has been the same, and that's to bring accountability, to protect our taxpayers, and to protect your hard-earned money, because God knows that $81 billion is too high to run this state. And so thank you for that update. Lastly, I would like to present Chairman Nick Fiani with a special tribute from the state of Michigan. I've been trying to get this to you, but putting in 13 and 15 hours a day and oversight, I haven't been able to. So I wanted to share this and give this to you. And I just want to read real quick. Since joining Livingston County Board of Commissioners in 2022, Nick has served many roles, including but not limited to Vice Chair of the Board, Chair of Finance and Asset Management. And now we celebrate him as Chairman of the Board. His work has even helped keep Livingston County as one of the safest, healthiest counties in the state, all while maintaining Michigan's lowest tax rate. So with that said, Chairman Fiani, I'd like to give you this special tribute from my office in the state of Michigan. Therefore, this document is signed and dedicated in recognition of Nick Fiani as he is named Chairman of Livingston County Board of Commissioners. May he continue to lead with integrity, vision, and unwavering dedication to our community as he begins this new chapter. So thank you. God's blessing on you. And I would leave you with this. There's been talks of election integrity, borders, all of those things. And quite honestly, the scripture has been misquoted multiple times tonight. So I'll remind you of this. We serve a God of borders. He's created heaven and hell. It's very simple. All you got to do is call on the name of Jesus and you'd be saved. It's very, very important that when someone's quoting scripture, that we read it and understand it so we're not misled. Thank you, and God bless all of you, and God bless America, President Donald J. Trump, and our Speaker, Matt Hall. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Wolford. Are there any, Commissioner Gross?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a report. Last Friday morning, I attended the Ageways Board of Directors meeting in Farmington Hills. Two things that were discussed there is the Ageways multi-year plan that runs from 2027 through 2029. This is a plan that historically has been presented to the county boards of commissioners for approval. However, that requirement has been abolished. And so Ageways has put this plan together. I have a copy here if any of my colleagues would like to review it. It's 68 pages of information, but I'm sure it would be good reading. Secondly, I have a copy of the Ageways 2025 annual report available. Any of my colleagues would like to look at that as well. So one thing that came up in the meeting that I voiced concern about is that Ageways has two significant programs, both of which have extensive waiting lists. One program, they have over 1,000 people that are on the list waiting to get into the program for services. Some of these people have been on the list for upwards of a year. Supposedly, the agency is not able to take care of these people because they have staffing issues, which is pervasive throughout public service organizations. A second program, they have a waiting list of over 300 people. At our next board of directors meeting at the end of June, I hope to be able to have access to how many people from Livingston County are on those waiting lists and how long they've been there. So in a couple of months, I will give you an update. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Gross, for representing the board and for this update. Are there any additional reports? Commissioner Nakagiri.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Some of you may have heard that the Southern Poverty Law Center is been indicted by a grand jury, basically for, I'm going to characterize it as fraud, fomenting racial hatred when their mission is to, bring us together, to get rid of the haters. They were hiring Nazis and extremists to go and help in Charlottesville. If you remember that Charlottesville early on in the Trump administration, where there was a big riot. And it reminded me, that whole situation, the fomenting of the hate, reminded me that we're coming up on the 5-year anniversary in August of a fake hate crime here that I remember quite vividly. It happened around Melonfest, and it got a lot of press, especially from the local media, criticizing our county, our citizens for being racists. And lo and behold, the lady that fomented, that perpetrated that fake hate crime, she got brought up on charges and ended up having to pay
she got off easy. She had to pay court costs and fines. And here we are almost 5 years later, and there hasn't been a media story to get the truth out there. So in the mind of the people that, it's that type of, I'll say, fake news that plants the seed and keeps it alive that this is a hateful county. And I'm hopeful that maybe on the 5-year anniversary, one of the media companies locally will actually print the true story, that it was a fake hate crime. And, but I'm not going to hold my breath. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Nakagiri. Any other reports? Commissioner Helserman?
Yes, I've had the privilege today to go to the MAC Legislative Conference in Lansing. It'll be tomorrow and Wednesday. It's very good. A lot of good information. It's good to get involved with other commissioners from around the state. And there was something about, digital, getting things on our website accessible to the broader community. The deadline to do it was this year. I think in March. They've extended it to 2027. But I think that's something that we need to, as a county, make sure that our information is accessible, not just to normal people that can have all their senses, but to people that are disabled in some way. And I thought it was very interesting. And we also, there was Kent County, their waste management program was very interesting. I asked a question about burning trash, incineration. And my question was, what is the reasons not to incinerate? And basically it says there is no reason not to incinerate. That incineration in Kent County reduces the amount of waste that they put in their landfill. And it's quite an expensive thing. And I think they've had it like for 20 years, so they have quite a bit of experience with it. And they are within the levels of their output, within the safety levels. And he made one kind of just a little comment, says PFAS is destroyed in incineration. So if you have a PFAS problem, PFAS contamination, when PFAS goes through the incineration, PFAS is no longer PFAS. It goes back into its constituent chemical breakdown. So anyways, it's very good. And there are other things that I will share with commissioners offline. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Helserman. Any additional reports? We'll move on to resolutions for consideration. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution approving an appointment to the Livingston County Health Advisory Committee?
So moved, Sample. Second, Rick.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Resolution is approved 9-0. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution authorizing the county attorney to file a petition with the circuit court to establish a normal lake level for Fawcett Lake and to establish a special assessment district?
So move, Helderman. Second, Sample.
Moved by Commissioner Hausman, second by Commissioner Sample. Any discussion? Commissioner Nakagiri, I'll invite Mr. Dempsey and Mr. Recker up.
Yeah, if they have a presentation I want to make, I can wait for them.
Yeah, not too much. Good evening. Essentially, just during the SIPSA meeting a few weeks ago, we discussed the dam petition, assessment districts, preliminary study, and then the general process moving forward. We're at the point, kind of as discussed earlier, preliminary study's been completed. We need a determination on that resolution and expediency. With that, we can answer any further questions you have regarding the dam study or process. We also have Brian Sensi here from GEI Consultants who completed that preliminary study.
Mr. Nakagiri, Commissioner Nakagiri.
Thank you. I have a couple questions, but first I want to share with everybody some research that I came across over the weekend. I had noticed in the agenda package from the SIPSA meeting, the petitions that were signed in favor of forming the lake level district. And there were several citizens that had signed on behalf of 4300 Fawcett Road. And I found that interesting, and I said, how can that be? You know, what transpired? So I ultimately, and I gave you a copy of these quitclaim deeds that I found in the Register of Deeds office, that the owner of 4300 Fawcett was Nancy Gregory. She's a trustee of the Nancy Gregory Trust. She filed a quitclaim deed to take the property out of trust and sell it to herself as a single woman. And then on page 2, there's another quitclaim deed where Ms. Gregory went and issued a quitclaim deed to 9 other people. So the property at 4300 Fawcett Road has 10 owners. And each owner is a joint tenant with full rights of survivorship. So, you know, that's pretty dry information. But what it ultimately does is it enables that one property, 4300 Fawcett Road, to have 10 votes in whether or not the citizens, you know, when they have to do a petition, they have to get 2/3 of the property owners. And with that 10 votes, it's kind of, in my view, stacking the deck. It is also, in my view, outside the intent of what the legislature had envisioned, that, you know, we would allow a property owner to sell their property off with, in my opinion, for the sole interest of getting more votes to push through the petition and get it approved, so it could be Part 307 could be presented to the Board of Commissioners. I find that troubling. I find that distasteful. I find that gaming the system. And I'm aware that there were petition issues early on. You know, there weren't enough signatures, if I understand history. And so this change, you know, I will say that I'm not a fan of having government get involved in a private sector. And this, what I'm going to refer to as a bit of gamesmanship, it makes me even more against this whole thing. I was intrigued by a comment that somebody shared from Call the Public. I don't remember the name, but I remember the face, about wanting to do this, you know, in a lake association. And that's how I believe this should be done. It's a private dam. They ought to be able to work through with developing a lake association. They could do the funding. The access to the resources that the county has, the county will go to contractors to do dam installation, dam maintenance. They could also work with private citizens through a lake association, in my opinion. But no, I'm troubled by the stacking of the deck. And if you look at all the petitions that were submitted, the ones recently after the change of ownership, after the adding, 10 owners to this one property, I counted up the people that signed. They actually represent 6 properties, 6 out of 14 properties. And I find that, I'll just say troubling. So that's all I had. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Dempsey or Mr. Recker, did you want to comment?
Did you have a specific question or is it just, just?
I don't have any question. I'm just saying that I'm just sharing what I had found.
Right. So, I mean, there was things noted throughout the process of looking at, the property deeds. There was some that were broken up, from my understanding, that were even didn't sign. They broke a trust up in the beginning to have 2 signatures that didn't, and then it kind of went the other way. Breaking it up into 10 owners also increases the amount of total owners as well. So the percentages aren't quite equal to the 10. But I guess the big thing is you're asking about the petition. The petition's already been, accepted by the county board. And when it was submitted to you, it had 2/3 owners. That's why it was submitted.
Commissioner Helserman.
Mr. Chair, as far as the dividing of the property, I think, if I understand it correctly, that the dividing of the property is actually the better picture of the number of actual families that are there. And to me, that's a more honest way to deal with it, because then each of these owners, instead of paying just one property tax as a there it's divided up into what it would be after the person would die and the property would be divided. So I think that is, that doesn't bother me at all. I think it's actually a better representation when it's divided than when it was together. Second of all, there are a lot of things that happened that might be called gaming the system, but the law is the law. And if you follow the law, how can you call that gaming the system actually? Secondly, the law allows for what these people are asking for us to not allow it. It seems that we are placing our judgment upon them and somewhat annulling the law, because this law is available to them, it's available to anybody, and they've chosen to do it. I don't know if I lived on the lake, if I would favor it or wouldn't favor it, because in my mind, they are taking a big responsibility upon themselves. And I think that I don't think that we should stop them from doing this because it's a legal thing to do. So I'm in favor of this. And I think that if we don't do this, as Brian Jonker pointed out, there are consequences if we do it. There's consequences if we don't do it. And I don't think any of us here are wise enough to know, 10 years or 15 years down the road, what is really the wisest way to do it. So I favor this. I think it's a legal thing to do. And I don't think we should stand in the way of the homeowners here.
Thank you, Commissioner Helserman. Any additional? Commissioner Gross.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ken and Mitch, if this procedure flows to conclusion, the county will own that lake, is that correct? Or the dam?
Yeah, they would own the dam. They would be responsible for operation and maintenance of the structure, correct?
So if, God forbid, 10 or 15 years from now, there's some sort of a catastrophe, the county would be liable? Is that true?
Well, what do you mean by catastrophe, I guess?
Well, if somehow the dam fails and there's flooding and homes are lost, et cetera.
Do you want to add? Oh, sorry.
So from a perspective of homes being lost, the structure that principally would be at risk if there was a catastrophic failure right now would be a road crossing under Fawcett Road. There's no homes between the structure and Fawcett Road that would be at risk if the dam failed at this point in time. There may be another road crossing a little bit further downstream.
Yeah, the immediate concern would be Fawcett Road. It's just downstream. There's a big wetland complex between it, which would probably take a lot of that water, but that immediate crossing would be the biggest concern.
If this continues, would it be possible to get some sort of an insurance policy to protect us in the event of something unforeseen happening? Is that possible?
Well, as far as my understanding, the dams are somewhat covered under MMRA, right? Is that correct? MMRA, sorry. And this would be no different from that. Expenses, obviously, as we've talked before, would be borne by the special assessment district.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Panovich?
My understanding, this is not a lake per se. State classifies this.
Excuse me, Commissioner, can you please turn your mic on or speak into the mic?
My understanding, the state classifies this as a reservoir, not a lake. Is that correct?
Typically, from my understanding, they would consider it a lake because it's over 5 acres. So usually that 5-acre threshold. is
State
what-
doesn't call it a lake, calls it a reservoir. If you research that, you'll find that out. I did.
Okay.
Number one. Number two, the Walker Reservoir, which is classified by the state, is a limited liability corporation. Is that correct?
Yeah, the ownership under the.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not these citizens or abutting landlords. It's a corporation that owns it, correct?
It is under a corporation, which is Nancy Gregory, correct?
And they're
Yep.
the owner.
Yep.
So are they here? I don't see them here.
There's many of her family members here, but.
No, I'm
But
not
she is-
referring. to
I don't-
family.
I
I'm
didn't
saying,
see- I
is
didn't see
anybody
her.
from the corporation here to speak in behalf of this? Yes or no?
I didn't see Nancy Gregory here, no.
I don't either. And it's my understanding from researching this, kicking your briefcase over there. This is a 6-foot embankment around this reservoir. It's dirt, correct?
It's larger than 6 foot. It is an earthen embankment dam.
Earthen embankment. It's not a dam per se as we would perceive. Like Lake Chemung has a dam, Woodland Lake has a dam.
Well, the dam is the earthen embankment. That's more of the dam than the actual structure. So it does have it's a standpipe structure.
Standpipe structure.
Yep.
Correct.
So it actually has more of a dam than, say, Lake Chemung and some of our other structures, if that's what you're referring to.
When we talk about the definition of dam, and Brian may be able to elaborate here. It's the difference in the headwater, tailwater elevation. So the elevation of the pond in the front of the structure, and then the elevation of the water in the back of the structure. And it's got more than a 6-foot difference between those two. And it's an older style of structure. It's a down drain structure. So it's there's a manhole out in the water, and the water drops to
understand.
a horizontal pipe that shoots her out.
But as we perceive it, citizens looking at a dam, you got the Hoover Dam. There's other dams.
It's definitely not the Hoover Dam, sir.
It's,
Commissioner.
well, do you know what the Hoover Dam is? It's a structure that was constructed, right?
Yes.
Not an earthen dam,
That's fair.
correct?
No, I've been to the Hoover
But we
Dam a couple
understand what a
times.
dam is, just like a lake and a reservoir. You might call it a lake. It's really not according to the state of Michigan.
Yeah, the folks at the dam safety unit, I'm afraid might disagree with you. And this is just,
Not me, it's the state.
well, that's who we deal with when we submit our.
Check into it.
reports.
I think you'll find I'm right. I did.
It's a regulated lake under the state. Okay, yeah, so.
Why do they call it a reservoir then?
It's also, I mean, you could also consider it maybe a reservoir. It has an impoundment on it, right? So I mean, it could be both. I don't know if that would be an incorrect somewhere.
Well, the state calls it a reservoir. I researched it and checked with the state.
Usually that 5-acre threshold though is what my understanding of what they would consider a lake. Otherwise your ponds, stuff like that. So the 5-acre threshold typically classifies it as a lake.
So you could dig a big hole in your backyard, get the approval. Follow the lake.
It's 5 acres. They might say it's a lake. Yes. Yeah.
Any other questions from the commissioners? Commissioner Drick?
Having looked at the quitclaim deeds that I was provided with earlier today before the commission met, it seems that Nancy Gregory was the trustee of a trust. And on January 24, 2025, she quitclaimed a 4300 faucet to herself. Then another quitclaim deed, same date, January 24, 2025. Nancy Gregory quitclaimed the same 4300 faucet to a number of people, about 9 or 10. But when you look at the petitions that were signed, they were all before the quitclaim deed. So all the petitions that came in at 4300 Fawcett Road aren't legally binding. They weren't owners that day. They should have dated them 3 days after. They dated them before they were owners. So we have a question of defective ownership on date of signing of petitions. That might have to be worked out in court. I'm not here to figure that one out, but that's a problem going forward. Additionally, I hear tonight from one of the gentlemen that was at Call to the Public that there was a 2008 court case over this property and that certain court orders were made, and I believe his words were to require that the dam lake level go no lower. Sounds like a lake level decision. That's another one that our attorney's going to have to look into because that seems to be a problem. If there's already a court case going over the same subject matter, whether the first one is now knocked out of play, whether maybe there was a judgment of no cause of action or dismissal, but there's some problems there that have to be worked through. So I would tell you that I came here not knowing what I was going to do. When we were at the first meeting, one guy was missing, so we had 3, and that meant 2 votes could have sent this away. And I didn't think that was fair. I wanted to listen to the 9 other brains on, or the 8 other brains on the commission to see if they could help me out. It does seem as though the intent of the statute is to have 2/3 of the abutting land owners be in favor. And nobody's ever told us who those landowners are. We don't know who the denominator is or who the numerator is in that fraction. We know that there's 14 pieces of property, but one piece of property could be owned by more than one person, so that could mean multiple list of owners. And I'm guessing that that's going to have to get worked out in circuit court also, because that's probably a prerequisite to proceeding. I don't think it's appropriate for either side, anti-dam or pro-dam, to mess with the ownership right before the petition proceeds. I don't find anything in the statute that allows for that. I would also understand that when they wrote the statute, they didn't have a lot of experience in this area, so they didn't know the various problems that could pop up. But if you can manipulate the number of owners right before you submit your petition, then the 2/3 doesn't seem to be law. It seems to be sort of a vague target that can be manipulated. I have a difficulty with that, but I also don't think I'm the arbiter of that. I don't think I'm the guy that decides that. Maybe that's another thing for circuit court to worry about. I'm a little bit concerned that the report by the engineer, the preliminary, was supposed to be a lake level report, but there was no lake level in it. It was said that that gets determined at a second study, and I think I get that now. But it would still seem that what had been done at Eagle should have been in that report for us to consider. And I didn't find any reference to what Eagle thinks about this, whether they think, oh, we can just lower it a little bit, or we should build a bigger dam, or we should do all sorts of extra stuff. But I don't think that necessarily ruins the chance to get the resolution through. The last matter is that the study that we authorized very clearly said that the writer of the study was to study multiple alternatives so that we would know other possibles instead of going forward with a lake level petition in circuit court. And there was a single sentence that listed alternatives. But I would think a study would go further and say, these cost too much, these take too much time. We don't think any of these are terrific because they're minimal and we've got a big problem. I don't find the study particularly helpful. But I get down to the final notion that if American citizens raise their hand and say, tax me, I'm inclined to say, you asked to be taxed. We didn't force you into this. We didn't hold a gun to your head. You want to be taxed. So that's what I'm thinking. If any other commissioner can help me out, I would appreciate it. Other than that, I'm a little bit on the fence still, but you understand where I'm coming from.
Yeah, there's a few things.
Go ahead,
Obviously, you know, Eagle's response was one that I had wrote down. You were asking what their opinion potentially of the structure would be. I've seen some correspondence where they're basically asking what the plan is. What are we doing? Are you is it getting it repaired? They're asking for those repairs to be done based on some of the prior inspection reports that were completed out there. And I think some of those were, I think the most recent one was submitted to the county board last year. So that's one aspect, at least for Eagle. The other one was, you're asking about the study alternatives. They're the alternatives that they're talking about within the study is what are our options for rebuilding this? Those are the alternatives that we're looking at. Not exactly what we talked about before, where what are our alternatives to petitioning under Part 307?
That was
So
different. That was
yeah,
early.
that's
I
different.
remember
That
that.
was basically, that was a lot of what our, myself had done with some of the residents. What can we do here? A lot of informational meetings, things like that. But the study itself it's a simple way to say, is there something that's missing, right? So if you go out there and there's a study that's done, I mean, it was a $4,700 study and there's a huge hole in the embankment. Okay, well, that makes things a little different. That wasn't found. So that's really what the study is doing is you have the inspection report that was looked at from the state. And then you have the preliminary study to say, okay, well, is there something else missing there? And it didn't really show that. You have the earthen embankment, you have the structure that's falling apart, and there are repairs that need to be made, but was there anything that was out of the ordinary, something that was, substantially different? And it showed that really, no, that's kind of what was there. And then the other one was, you had mentioned the prior court case. I haven't dug into that too much, but from my understanding, the basis behind that was the establishment of that SAD that's for, maintenance of that structure. Some of those that talked in the public comment, they kind of spoke to that a little bit, that was really this dam needs maintenance, and that SAD was established at that time. That structure, the standpipe, that really is what sets the level of that lake. So what the elevation of that structure is, you're going to have seasonal variations, more rainfall, things like that. But that kind of sets that lower limit of what that lake level is going to be. When you get into the next study that we're talking about, that's what they would look at. Okay, what was the standpipe's elevation? What is that? And that's what they would probably try to match. That would be the recommendation to the court is, we're going to match that elevation because that is what that level has been for whatever amount of years. So if you're building a new structure, kind of what's shown in that preliminary study, that weir level, the weir spillway, will probably be set like the elevation of the current standpipe. That'll help set that lake what it is today. So those are the three I just wanted to hit on. Hopefully it helps a little bit, but.
And you were thinking that Eagle was asking for repairs?
So it is a state regulated dam. So the dam owner is required to submit reports, just as we are on our structures, to the state of Michigan. Based on the prior reports, there are things that need to be completed to basically be in compliance with dam safety. So because some of those repairs have not been done, mostly why they petitioned is that the cost at this point, that's what they're looking for to be completed. Now, if they're not going to be completed, it's kind of like, well, what they're going to be asking, well, what is the plan then? And then they might have to make their own decision on that.
Did Eagle or the single property owner have a estimate of what the Eagle required repairs would cost?
Do you remember that?
So the single homeowner had been working with Spicer Group, and Rich Graham I'd talked to a couple times about this. I think we both talked to him a couple times about this. And the challenge with using this number is based on, I guess the term I would use is a patch, if you will.
Okay.
So, Rich Graham's recommendation, I believe, for the patch was $250,000, sound about right?
250?
Yeah. So $250,000 was the patch. And basically what is outlined in Brian's report is more of a comprehensive repair that should have a 20 to 40-year service life, Brian? Yeah. So that's the reason for the difference, and it's a significant difference between those two numbers, but it's entire reconstruction of the spillway, which isn't something that was addressed.
Patch.
Yeah, in the patch. Yep.
Okay. Thank you. I yield the floor.
Any additional questions? Commissioner Sample?
I got it. So I don't remember the whole process when we were back, through the Flock Dam, but when it goes to district court, they review all this stuff. They determine lake level and it ultimately the judge makes a decision on it.
They would approve a lake. They would approve a lake level order, correct?
Yeah, and then you guys would also have a public hearing after that,
So,
or no?
not after that determination. So one thing that's interesting, I guess, with, essentially the lake level hearing is that it's supposed to be set up as a hearing where resident testimony is allowed at the court.
Right.
That really didn't occur really at the recent Portage Baseline one. There were residents there, but it didn't, occur like that. But it is set up, it's supposed to be set up that way where testimony can be heard that way.
Right,
But
so,
yep.
but we came back to Hamburg Township and had a public meeting where
Yep.
people could, argue their assessment.
Correct. Yep. So after the lake, basically the lake level orders there, what that does is it establishes the lake level, which we just talked about at TIC, how we might look at that. And it establishes the SAD, which is important because then who's involved with the expenses. From there, you would actually have to develop the plans for the repair, not the preliminary, and you would have more of a comprehensive, okay, this is what we would be doing. From there, it would need to go out to bid. That way we know exactly how much it's going to cost. That's when we get into setting the special assessment role and the apportionment. Once we have that idea of what the apportionment's going to be, that results in the hearing such as what occurred at Hamburg Township, where the residents can see exactly what their assessment's going to be for the project that's shown there. That requires, essentially there's an approval at that end, and then that role is brought here, including those costs for approval in front of the Board of Commissioners.
And that's ultimately the last step of this, right?
That would be, once that's approved, including the financing, yes, that would be the last step.
Yeah, I think that's about it. I mean, I kind of agree with Commissioner Helserman. You really can't control how people decide to develop their ownership or their property. It'd be, a lot like if somebody decided to put up 100 home development on that piece of property. You really can't dictate what an owner wants to do with sales of their property or how they devise their ownership. Other than that, that's all I got.
Commissioner Gross?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm inclined to support this resolution on the basis of the fact that Commissioner Drick has pointed out some potential legal issues, and I would be hopeful that when this petition gets into the court system, if those issues are significant, the plan's going to get shot down and then probably have to start all over again. But from the commentary we heard earlier and what we've seen in the supporting documentation to the resolution, the homeowners are very willing to foot the bill for this. And so they want to protect their property values. That being the case, if it gets through court and follows the procedures that Mitch just identified, I'm fine with that. I think the process has worked. I don't know that potential legal issues, I don't know that's anything that we necessarily can deal with. I would leave that to the court system. I'm trusting the court system, contrary to other commentary earlier.
Commissioner Nakagiri?
Thank you. I want to drill into this 2008 court decision. I think Mr. Dempsey, or was it Mr. Recker, had said that that formed the current special assessment district. Was that?
That was me, yeah. Yep, that was kind of my understanding of that, correct?
The, when you say that, I'm left with the impression, from the citizens that, this is the Part 307 is the only way to finance this. But in fact, I'm concluding that there is an existing SAD. Granted, it would need to raise more money. It would have more, you'd have to pay more in special assessments to replace the dam. Could you comment on that?
Yes, Mitch and I reached out to Supervisor Mattioli at Deerfield Township regarding the township's potential willingness or availability to consider doing this as township public improvement. And the long and the short of it is that they were advised that this district was set up for maintenance only, and they were not, I don't want to put words in the supervisor's mouth, but generally the use of the existing district wouldn't be suitable for a comprehensive rebuild of the dam.
Right. So if the existing, I could accept that as a reasonable, speculation or reasonable projection. But I think that, could you not do a special assessment district, that overlays on the top of what we currently have on the property owners and say it's going to be for doing these repairs?
So the special assessment district that's in place at Deerfield Township, is my understanding, is it's a township public improvement district, and the township public improvement district petition process functions quite a bit differently from the process under Part 307, which is the inland lake level process under the state environmental code. So, in effect, without having looked at that district boundary recently, the district boundary under 307 might be very similar, but indeed the process is different and the mechanism is different. And I'm only speculating here, but it's quite possible that part of the township's concerns with going forward with a rebuild would probably revolve around getting financing for the rebuild through that mechanism. Might be a bigger issue than what they're used to dealing with there.
One other thing, Commissioner Nakagiri, was there was some residents that did petition for this that they didn't want to continue that type of process. They did have interest in, basically the inspections, maintenance, and some of that aspect to not fall directly to them. That SAD still requires that ownership to do a lot of that stuff on their own. So there was interest to alleviate some of those aspects, which is why they petitioned as well.
I'll move on to another subject. In the preliminary estimates of cost provided by the consultant, the preliminary study was $5,500. Is that the cost of the study that we were just given?
$5,500. Can you, what was that one?
For preliminary study.
Should have been $4,700. It was $4,700 was the preliminary study.
Okay. There was an invoice for professional services rendered. This might tax your memory a little bit. It was back in January of 23. It was for $3,000. It was an invoice paid to Wade Trim. There is a notation on this that this would be reimbursed if petition filed. Was that ever reimbursed?
I would have to take a look at that, Commissioner Nakagiri. That was for a early meeting that we had with those residents to basically review Spicer's information that that the landowners had provided and to get a opinion basically beholden to us of what the potential costs of the repairs would be.
Yeah, the payment of this invoice occurred before, well, in advance of the county getting a petition for 307. And, so, I mean, the county has been working on this, and I'm concluding that the county has been working on this, has been expending resources, your time, other people in the drain office. Are we reimbursed for that? Have we been reimbursed for that?
So there is a mechanism once the lake level district is established for reimbursing administrative expenses. But until that district is established, I don't believe there is a mechanism for reimbursing those administrative expenses. I mean, you're right. Time has been spent on this for sure. But at the point when we were meeting with the residents back in 23, we were of the opinion that we needed a second check on Spicer's information that they'd done on behalf of the landowners. That was the reasoning for that expense back in 23.
I looked at the boundary of the proposed SAD, and my reading of statute, suggests to me that those boundaries could change. Is that a correct reading?
Yeah, I mean, potentially. I mean, say there was some sort of access that, we didn't know about, things like that. I don't expect that to change. I would say that, but yeah, there's things that could come about that could change that SAD boundary, the estimated.
Okay, because the SAD boundary that was included in the preliminary study is, just shows lake lots. And there are no back lots in the SAD. I find that interesting. I was curious on how that comes about, because my understanding from other lake level SADs is that backlots get charged too. And so how is it decided that the backlots are not charged in this case?
So in this particular case, what you have is you have a group of properties that have not been platted or developed as condominiums or planned unit developments. Typically where we get backlots in lake level or lake improvement SADs is where you have properties that don't have frontage on the lake, but there is a park or there is an access, or I shouldn't use the phrase, but I'm going to go ahead and say it, a road end that dead ends into the lake, and there's a dedication on the plat or there's language in the master deed that gives all owners access to the lake through that park area. And in this particular case, we just have aliquot parcels or large parcels, and there's no deeded access, I believe, that we could find when we were researching this.
Okay. I want to follow up on the insurance. Yes, the county could incorporate insuring this new asset, into our insurance policy. I don't. If the project goes forward, and if the SAD is going to pay for everything associated with it, in my view, it ought to pay for the insurance. I mean, you can, the SAD could purchase a rider on that for liability. And if we truly want to make this, no financial liability to taxpayers, other than the people that derive the benefits. I think that the insurance should be charged on the list of preliminary costs.
That's certainly something that we can discuss with MMRMA should the project go forward.
Okay. I wanted to go and hit a question that I had asked previously. Mr. Dempsey will likely remember this because it's maybe a pet peeve of mine. We know that the dam at some point in time, 30, 50, 60 years from now is going to need significant repairs. And so the dam has, undergoes normal wear and tear, which I call depreciation. I think it's been stated to me that we can't charge for depreciation, but my reading of statute suggests otherwise, that, if it's necessary, or I forget the exact language for if it can be specifically identified and if it's necessary for the project, then, we could accrue for depreciation. And I see our legal counsel back there, so I pose that question to Matt. I know my reading of statute is you can't just say, hey, we're going to have a slush fund and accrue monies. But if we specifically say, it's going to need repairs in the future, it's going to have depreciation, every physical asset does, why can't we accrue for that?
So if I can answer part of the question. We had this discussion a couple of years ago, actually, I think on an unrelated dam. It certainly, I think, would be beneficial to dam operators at the county level if there was a mechanism in statute to provide for capital replacement, if you will. It's not the equivalent term to depreciation, but it gets kind of at the similar issue to what you're getting at. There isn't, from what I have been told, a mechanism in statute currently to accommodate that. And that's the principal problem. It's a problem in the drain code. It's a problem in the Lake Level Act. My guess is if I called Steve over at the Road Commission, it might be a problem for them too. But that's just my limited experience with it.
Mr. Dempsey, did you want to add to that?
Just that, that Part 307 statute, at the end of it, it's basically the repairs in excess of $10,000, which tends to involve that and trigger kind of the, reapportionment process. So when you're constructing it, the plans show what you're going to do. What is the improvement? What is that cost? So I don't know if you could really put depreciation in that construction cost. So that, again, with Ken, it's not really set up that way is the biggest issue.
Mr. Norford, did you wish to add anything?
All of that is accurate. I just think that budgeting for future maintenance may be another way to come at that same problem, which is that you are able to say and identify, look, we think this is what it'll cost to keep this thing operating. It may be depreciation in another form to say in 10 years, we're going to need to do concrete repair on the new spillway structure that we just put in place. And you can account for that and invoice the special assessment district going forward.
So you're saying as long as we're specific about what, that's what I want to make sure my understanding is, I'm interpreting you correctly, that let's say the expected life of a valve or whatever, is 10 years, and it costs, $100,000 for that valve, that we could accrue and charge the special assessment district, so that monies are there for something that we know is going to need to be replaced.
Well, we can, if we determine that maintenance is required, we can build that in. And so I think what you're saying is a little different, which is that we're guaranteeing we're going to have this money. What we're going to do is not a one and done situation. So we can continue to have money available to maintain the new and improved structure.
Okay,
I'm almost viewing it as a distinction without a difference,
okay.
which is that we can figure out a way to account for future repairs to the dam.
I think that, that should be done. That's my opinion. Let me see if I had anything else. I wanted to share, I did, speak with the, Heartland Township manager, who has a lot of experience with special assessment districts, not in the drain code or not in lake level, but in roads specifically. Because that's a pretty common thing in to set up a special assessment district to, fix a subdivision's roads or whatever. I share this just as a point of information. Determining who gets to vote, and when they actually do the petition, it's actually done by property or parcel. And so it's not, you could have 10 owners of a parcel, you don't get, 10 votes, you get 1 vote with that parcel. You need, if that parcel was owned by a husband and wife, both the husband and wife have to sign for it, for approving it in order to get that 1 vote. You kind of look like you have heard of that before.
I'm listening more than anything, but.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's, this is just, like I said, it's a point of information. I think when, it eliminates, the gamesmanship, in my opinion. That's all I have. Thank you.
Any additional questions or comments?
Point of order. May I ask our attorney a question?
So that's more of a point of information, but yes. So point of order, that's a point of information. Yes.
Is there still a requirement when you file, I think it's on the summons, to alert the court to other litigation?
Yes.
So in this petition, would you alert the court to the 2008 litigation?
I haven't seen it, but if it's unresolved or it's an
once you
open and
look at it.
ongoing order, we would do that.
Once you look at it?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
Thank you. Any additional discussion? May we have a roll call vote, please?
I'd like to make an amendment to the petition. In the second, be it further resolved, it asks our county attorney to authorize to file a petition with circuit court to determine the lake level and establish this district. I would also like the petition to ask the court to rule on the validity of signatures of owners dated prior to the quitclaim deed 1/24/25, whether it meets or does not meet the 2/3 requirement of MCL 324.30702.
Mr. Chair, I would request that motion in writing for clarity's sake.
Yes, absolutely.
I can get that. I've got it rough drafted. I can do that.
Thank you.
Vice Chairman Drick, would you mind? Well, let me ask you this. Do you wish to have that amendment added to the second, be it further resolved, or do you want it as its own independent, be it further resolved?
Inside the same one.
Okay.
So there's 2 reasons for the petition.
Okay. And would you mind rereading your proposed amendment?
And to petition the court to rule on the validity of signatures of owners dated prior to the quitclaim deed dated 1/24/25 to meet or not meet the 2/3 requirement of MCL 324.30702.
Thank you. Is there a second to the motion to amend the resolution?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Deaton. Any discussion on the proposed amendment? Commissioner Helserman?
My question, is not this something the courts would do anyways?
No,
Commissioner Drick.
if we're petitioning, if we're telling our attorney what to do, he's gonna stick to the ink on paper. He's not gonna go beyond that. If we ask our attorney to at least bring it up and ask the judge to make a ruling, he'll get it done. No, it doesn't mean that the court will do it on its own. Because it's really not an adversarial procedure, as I understand it. It's not as though there'll be other people filing, attorneys coming in and arguing. It could happen, but it's not necessarily adversarial that day.
Mr. Dempsey.
One quick question, Commissioner Drick. The date that you're referring to on the quick claim deed, is that the recorded date?
No, it's.
You don't want the recorded date.
No, I know. I didn't know which date. I
The
was just
the
interested in the
signature date,
Signature date on the
signature date
petition.
is January 24, 25.
And and then what you're looking at, the deed is the same thing. That's a signature date on the deed, right?
Yes, on the quick.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Dempsey, Mr. Recker, and Mr. Jonkier, do you have any objection or wish to add any commentary regarding the proposed amendment? Okay. Commissioners, any questions or comments strictly on the proposed amendment?
So if they rule that the dates are wrong, that would kill the
Mr. Norfolk,
whole petition?
Mr. Norfolk, would you like to
Is that?
address that?
It may, and
It may.
they may be able to start over if that's the case, because it's a sequencing issue at this point that's unresolved.
I don't think it's a kill shot. But I don't think it's a kill shot, but I think it needs to be straightened out.
Mr. Dempsey?
One thing is, like I was telling you, for this process is a little different. So you will have people able to have testimony within the courtroom. So that could make a difference with that as well. So,
Okay.
so I would say, yeah, it may.
Yeah, there's testimony.
Mr. Norfolk, from a legal perspective, is there a possibility or an opportunity for a judge to say this is not of significant relevance and therefore we will not take this into strict account for proceeding forward?
Yes, I mean, I think what we're doing is we're posing an issue that is a question in your minds. It's appropriate for you to get that question resolved if you want it resolved. You previously approved the petition, and now we've identified an issue of concern for the board. If the amendment passes, we will address it with the court and get the answer.
Questions, comments? May we have a roll call on the proposed amendment, please?
Commissioner Drick,
Yes.
Commissioner Deaton,
Yes.
Commissioner Panovich,
No.
Commissioner Fiani,
Yes.
Commissioner Gross,
Yes.
Commissioner Helserman,
No.
Commissioner Domas,
Yes.
Commissioner Sample,
Yes.
and Commissioner Nakagiri.
Yes.
The motion to amend carries.
Thank you. We now have an amended resolution before us. We will go ahead and proceed. Commissioner Nakagiri.
Yeah, I'm gonna motion to amend by striking the second whereas, where it says, whereas the Board of Commissioners have determined that the petition contains the signatures of at least 2/3 of the owners, et cetera, et cetera. You know, it's clear that we, just based on the fact of the amendment we just approved, it's clear to me that we haven't determined that the petition contains the signatures of at least 2/3 of the owners. And it would be appropriate to strike that whereas. So I'm making a motion to strike the second whereas.
The motion made by Commissioner Nakagiri is to strike the second whereas and the language included in that. Is there a second to the motion to amend?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Panovich. Any discussion regarding the proposed amendment? Mr. Dempsey?
Just, I'm not sure, I guess, but just for clarification, I believe if that is stricken from that, it wouldn't go, right? It's not, you're not petitioning the court at that point. That is a requirement, you know, as part of the lake level statute to move forward. So striking that, I don't I don't think you're petitioning the court to move forward. So just to clarify, I think if that gets stricken, it doesn't go, so it makes the previous amendment, you know, it doesn't moot, yeah. Just, that's all.
Mr. Norfolk, would you like to weigh in on?
So you have a prior resolution where you approve the petition. That is the legally controlling document. The whereas clauses are instructive and not board action. Therefore, be it resolved, our board action. Leaving it silent doesn't undo your prior resolution approving the petition.
Right.
So although it's not going to be in here, I wouldn't argue that we couldn't proceed as amended with this resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Norford. Any questions or comments among the commissioners?
So the Drain Commission, you have accepted, who has accepted the 2/3?
The Board of Commissioners, the 9 of us.
So we said there was 2/3 vote,
That's correct.
and now we're saying,
Well, we haven't said anything yet. It was proposed amendment.
we're saying that we really didn't know what we were voting on, or what, you know, is that kind of, you know?
That
Okay.
that could be interpreted from the proposed amendment.
Okay.
Commissioner Nakagiri.
I would phrase it differently than my colleague, Commissioner Helserman, that we didn't know what we were doing. It's that new information has come up on how they count, what the requirements are, you know, on a property basis. We didn't know that, you know, you could have 10 owners, you know, that you could sell the property and I'll say, try not to, and game the system. So it's, I wouldn't use the same words as my colleague. That's all I wanted to say.
I would just say, if I could, when we did this, it was obvious to me that they had taken this move to get the 2/3 vote. You know, I remember that we accepted the 2/3 vote back then, knowing, maybe we didn't discuss it, but we knew that they had divided their property. So I think that we accepted that at that point in my mind. We accepted it then, the whereas is correct, so.
Commissioner Sample.
Yeah, I would say we accepted it then, and it really hasn't changed now. There's a question of the date of when it was signed, but there's not a question of how many people signed it.
Any additional comments or questions? I'll share that as one commissioner, I'm not inclined to support this amendment only because I think that the resolution that we had previously approved supersedes what this amendment would propose. And therefore, I'm not inclined to vote in favor of the amendment. If my understanding or my train of thought is incorrect, though, I'm happy to be corrected. Okay. May we have a roll call vote on the proposed amendment, please?
Commissioner Nakagiri,
Yes.
Commissioner Drick,
Yes.
Commissioner Deaton,
Yes.
Commissioner Panovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Fiani,
Yes.
Commissioner Gross,
No.
Commissioner Helserman,
No.
Commissioner Domas.
No.
Commissioner Sample.
No.
Motion to amend carries.
Thank you. Any other proposed amendments? Well, we now have a amended resolution before us. May we have a roll call vote on the amended resolution?
Yes, one moment, please.
Please take your time.
Commissioner Helserman,
Yes.
Commissioner Domas.
Yes.
Commissioner Sample,
Yes.
Commissioner Nakagiri,
No.
Commissioner Drick,
Yes.
Commissioner Deaton,
Yes.
Commissioner Panovich.
No.
Commissioner Fiani,
Yes.
and Commissioner Gross.
Yes.
The resolution as amended is passed.
Thank you.
Carries.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Mr. John Kier. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution authorizing an agreement extension with Inmate Calling Solutions LLC to provide inmate phone, video, visitation, and tablet services?
So moved, Nakagiri.
Is there a second?
Support, Helserman.
Moved by Commissioner Nakagiri and supported by Commissioner Helserman. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution to endorse the recently adopted 2026 Livingston County Master Plan?
So moved Eaton.
Support Thomas.
Any discussion? Commissioner Nakagiri?
I would, making a motion to amend the resolution by adding on at the end of the resolution, the following, and I have a sheet for our clerk, so she doesn't have to remember this. Be it further resolved that upon the effective date of the 2026 County Master Plan, any and all prior master plans, including but not limited to the 2018 plan, are hereby formally rescinded and terminated in their entirety. And be it finally resolved that it is the express intent of this board that this action shall effectively expire and nullify any supplementary county-issued planning documents dated more than 5 years prior to the resolution, ensuring that the 2026 County Master Plan stands as the sole authoritative document for the county's long-range planning and developmental goals.
Motion made by Commissioner Nakagiri. It's my understanding that all the commissioners have received a copy of the proposed amendment. You happen to have copies, Commissioner Nakagiri? If you don't, it's okay.
I don't.
Okay, so first, okay. So first, we have a motion to amend by Commissioner Nakagiri. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Commissioner Hausman. Do any of the commissioners wish to review a written copy of the proposed amendment? Seeing none, all those in favor of the proposed amendment, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
We have 8 in favor, 1 opposed, Mr. Jay Gross, Commissioner Jay Gross.
Give this to Betsy.
Yes, Mr. Commissioner Drick and Commissioner Nakagiri are
Thank you
providing the
very much.
proposed amendments.
Thank you.
We have a amendment proposed by Commissioner Nakagiri. It was seconded by Commissioner Hausman. It was approved. We now have the amended resolution before us. Any questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution authorizing an agreement with Emergency Vehicles Plus to provide a new ambulance?
So moved Eaton.
Support Thomas.
Moved by Commissioner Deaton, supported by Commissioner Domas. Any discussion? May we have a roll call? I'll speak slowly.
We're good.
May we have a roll call, please?
Yes, Commissioner Deaton,
Yes.
Commissioner Panovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Fiani,
Yes.
Commissioner Gross,
Yes.
Commissioner Helserman,
Yes.
Commissioner Domas.
Yes.
Commissioner Sample.
Yes.
Commissioner Nakagiri.
Yes.
And Commissioner Drick.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution authorizing an agreement with Bound Tree Medical to provide medical supplies?
So moved Eaton.
Support Thomas.
Any discussion? May we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Eaton,
Yes.
Commissioner Panovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Fiani,
Yes.
Commissioner Gross.
Yes.
Commissioner Helserman,
Yes.
Commissioner Domas.
Yes.
Commissioner Sample,
Yes.
Commissioner Nakagiri,
Yes.
Commissioner Durant.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. So motion to adopt the resolution to authorize a first quarter budget amendment to the fiscal year 2026 budget.
So move Sample.
Support, Helserman.
Any discussion? May we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Sample,
Yes.
Commissioner Nakagiri,
Yes.
Commissioner Direct,
Yes.
Commissioner Deaton,
Yes.
Commissioner Panovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Fiani,
Yes.
Commissioner Gross.
Yes.
Commissioner Helserman,
Yes.
Commissioner Domas.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Is there a motion to adopt the resolution authorizing Livingston County's 2027 annual budget process and calendar?
So move Helserman.
Support Deaton.
Moved by Commissioner Helserman, supported by Commissioner Deaton. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The resolution is adopted. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution adopting the 2026 through 2030 Livingston County Board of Commissioners Strategic Plan?
So move Sample.
Support Nakagiri.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution amending resolution number 2026-02-022, authorizing issuance of limited tax general obligation bonds, series 2026?
So move Nakagiri.
Is there a second?
I'll support for discussion.
Moved by Commissioner Nakagiri, supported by Commissioner Helserman. And I'll open up discussion.
I'll kick off the discussion and ask if I missed something that our county administrator might fill in some of the gaps. Essentially, this, we passed a resolution earlier this year allowing us to issue bonds at a rate no higher than 3.5%. The bond market has moved unfavorable. When the resolution was approved, interest rates were in the low threes, maybe even as low as the high twos. So they've moved unfavorable for us. So basically, this resolution enables us to enter into a negotiated sale as opposed to a competitive sale. So what a negotiated sale allows us to do is when we actually go go into the bond market and see what we can, what rates we can get. If we're not happy with the rates, we can nix the whole deal. We say, well, we're not going to do it today. Whereas in a competitive arrangement, we have to take whatever the best, bid is, even if it's higher than we want. The negotiated sale, according to my recollection of conversations with our bond experts, is a negotiated sale is used. It's not a uncommon thing. In fact, it's very common for refinancing debt, where if you have current debt of whatever 5%, you don't want to be trying to refinance and find out that, hey, it's at 5.5%. So, in my view, we want to have the ability to have a negotiated sale. And if bond rates don't come in where we need them to be to save the money that we want to save, we ultimately don't have to go forward at all. Did I state that reasonably correct?
From my perspective, yes. Carrie Blanchett's with us also on Zoom. One thing I will point out, and I think it just goes to show the volatility, the rates are pretty good again from where they were 2 weeks ago. And Carrie, if I say my notes wrong, please correct me. But as of Friday, the rate on a 9-year term was down to 3.03%.
Wow.
That would be an annual payment of just over $2 million for a 9-year term. Also, as of Friday, a 13-year term, the interest rate was 3.35, have an annual payment of just over $1.4 million. And so, whereas 2 weeks ago, the 13-year term wasn't an option, it was well beyond 3.5, and the 9-year term was bordering it. Things have changed since then. And so, If your intent is still to move forward with the bond, this amendment is smart because it gives us options to deal with the volatility, basically. Carrie, is there I think she's still here. Is there anything you'd like to add?
Yes, you both, everything you said is accurate.
Oh, well, wonderful. Thank you.
Any additional comments or questions? Commissioner Sample?
I have a question. Where do we sit with the bond if this fails tonight?
So if this fails, we would then only be authorized to do a competitive sale. Because this is amending a resolution that already passed for a normal, for competitive sale. We wouldn't have the option of doing the negotiated sale. So if the board's intent is to not want us to have the flexibility, then this would not go forward. This failing doesn't do away with, this is just an amendment. It doesn't do away with the authorizing resolution for the bond.
So what I'm asking is if we approve this resolution, it goes to the competitive sale.
We get to pick. It could be either one. It could be competitive or negotiated, whichever, when the time is there to pull the trigger, we would look at which one is most favorable. This amendment allows both. Previously, a negotiated sale was not envisioned.
So, so what I guess my question is then we approve this, on the next step, we would still have to approve to issue the bond or buy the bond?
This wouldn't have to come back to the board. No, the authorized agents are myself and our CFO. And so we would be working under those parameters that we have that 3.5% cap. If we're bordering it on a competitive sale, we would look at the negotiated route, working with our advisors. But this would not need to come back to the board to finalize this. We would, if the intent is still to bond, I believe our next step is to get a bond rating call set up with Moody's, which is part of the process. That's just about where we were last time before we realized that the rates had spiked. And then the process, Carrie, probably several weeks after that, we would finalize the sale. Is that accurate?
Yes, I think it would be relatively short because we were right at the point where we were going to have a call with the rating agency.
So my next question, I guess, would be, so if we weren't interested in going for the bond, where does that put us?
I would ask you to rescind the previous resolution and make a motion rescinding that, because if you don't want to do the bond at all right now, even if this fails, we still have authorization to do the bond, and we would, based on that previous vote. And so if there were a desire not to move forward, we would need to have that resolution rescinded, or a motion and a second not to move forward, because we're just working on what was passed previously.
Yeah, we've been back and forth on this bond thing, and I've been back and forth personally how I feel about the bond. I'd personally like to make a motion to stop seeking bond for the towers.
So, Mr. Norford, how would this look if there was a desire to rescind the previous resolution? Would we simply say motion to rescind that resolution, or would?
Ideally, if we had the resolution number, just so it's unambiguous what we're doing. It's a motion to rescind something previously adopted.
And right now, we currently have on the table this motion pertaining to amending that previous resolution. So in theory, we have to fulfill our obligation to the motion on the table, and then we would address a motion to rescind if desired. Is that correct?
Well, procedurally, I think yes, but then you may have to rescind what you just passed on the amended resolution, so you may have to take up both items.
So, let me ask you this. And I certainly have no hesitation in taking up both items, but in the interest of efficiency, since the resolution that's before us right now, hypothetically, if it were to pass, because it's a resolution to adopt, would a motion to rescind the original resolution negate its motion to amend or to adopt an amended resolution?
If you're asking if there's another way to do it, if you took this off the table, so if the motion and second for this current resolution were withdrawn, you could make a motion to rescind the prior, and then you could either vote this down and or not take action on it.
So, and then if this actual resolution gets voted down, then then we would, if there was a desire, we would move to a motion to rescind the main resolution, the original resolution.
Yes.
Okay.
To me, frankly, that makes the most sense procedurally, simply because at this point, you have this motion on the table. So unless you want to backtrack on it, you raise a good point. Take the matter under, on the table currently, resolve that, and then decide what you want to do after you know the outcome of this motion.
Okay. So I'll open up for discussion on the motion on the table. Commissioner Hausman, you raised your hand.
Yes, the only reason I see to not vote for this is, does this restrict our ability to have other, use the bond market for other things? And I don't think that we're close to that. I don't think, if we pass this, theoretically, I agree with that. Even though I think you know that I think that this whole regime of having to pay everything that we'll ever pay in the future right now, to me, this whole system doesn't make sense. But as long as we are not overdoing our ability to get other bonds for other projects in the future, seems to me this is a good thing. You know, even though you know how I feel about the whole system.
So I'll share some insight I have, and I'll certainly open up to Commissioner Nakagiri as well and Administrator Byrd, but my understanding would be that it would in theory restrict us because we wouldn't be able to make bond payments on future bonds if we were to take on those capital projects. We would be, our bond payment for this would be a notable one, and therefore to take on more bonds for capital projects would create a situation of difficulty on an annual basis to make those bond payments. That's my perspective. Administrator Byrd, would you have any?
I mean, it would ultimately be a board decision. I think our debt ratio would probably still technically be okay from the people who review that, but I have not known us to take on a whole lot of debt. And so if we take this on and then something else emerges that we might need to bond for, whether it's infrastructure related or whatever project related, it might be tough to fund the annual payment. And so it would ultimately come to you though for approval.
Just one question. When do the jail bonds, when are they paid off?
It's a couple years. I'm sorry. I think it's 29, but I'm not positive
Okay,
on that.
so, okay.
I do have
So
that
that's
information.
not off the table quickly.
Well, it's coming up, 28 or 29.
Right, yeah, but it's, you know,
yeah,
if we want to do something.
and I apologize. I do have that information in the office.
So that's.
The final payment is 2029.
Okay.
And we have a remaining principal is 4.5 million on the jail.
Okay.
We also have the EMS as well.
Okay.
When in 2029?
I don't have it narrowed down. Is Treasurer Nash, are you by chance online?
Oh, that's okay.
I don't think she's, okay. But I will open up, Commissioner Nakagiri?
Yeah, regarding our ability to pay if something unforeseen happened and we needed to bond for something, as you know, we were just talking about, you know, the plan is to keep paying MERS at the combination of our MERS payment and the bond payment will be equal of, I'll say, let me rephrase that. The bond payment and whatever our reduced MERS payment is, we're still going to be making the same MERS payment, the same dollar expenditure that we are currently spending on MERS. And so if we ran into a situation that said, hey, you know, we need to free up some cash because of unforeseen circumstances, we would be able to lower our MERS payment. We can't lower our bond payment, but we can lower our MERS payment. And that I'd have to go back and look at my calculations, but I believe it would be in the range of cutting back on the MERS payment about $1.5 million or 2 million a year. So in my view, having the ability, paying off debt that's costing us close to 7% with debt that is in the low threes, it just makes sense. And then having the flexibility to, like I just said, to cut back on our MERS payment if we had financial catastrophe. I think we cover we cover the pretty much every eventuality. So thank you.
Commissioner Sample?
Yeah, I'm not sure how to navigate this part of it, but I have some things to offer why I disagree with that. But I think we need to carry out this resolution, because I do agree if it passes, this is a better way to go.
Okay. So I anticipate there will be a motion to rescind what is resolution 202602-022 following the results of this resolution. If there's no additional discussion pertaining to this resolution, I'll go ahead and proceed forward with a roll call vote. Seeing no other discussion, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Nakagiri,
Yes.
Commissioner Drick,
Yes.
Commissioner Deaton,
Yes.
Commissioner Panovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Fiani,
Yes.
Commissioner Gross,
No.
Commissioner Helserman,
Yes.
Commissioner Domas,
Yes.
and Commissioner Sample.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Commissioner Sample, I anticipate.
I'd like to make a motion to rescind the prior resolution regarding the bond. I don't remember the number. You'll have to recite it to me.
What I'm hearing is Commissioner Sample wishes to make a motion to rescind resolution number 2026-02-022.
Thank you.
Point of information or point of order.
Yes.
This is a resolution that wasn't approved on the agenda, or a motion that wasn't approved on the agenda. It did not go through the Finance Committee. Our rules, my interpretation of our rules is to put it on the agenda tonight would require a 2/3 support.
Now, that's an interesting scenario. Mr. Norford, with this being a motion rather than an actual resolution, would this be a motion to rescind rather than an actual resolution itself? Are we, in theory, amending the agenda by taking this motion up?
So yes, this resolution was not on your agenda. What you had was a resolution amending the resolution.
Right.
So he's not raising a point of whether or not it's in order. He's raising a procedural question. And I think that if you were going to take this up, even as a motion, it would require the threshold of approval of the agenda. And I think his point is well taken. And they're your board rules. This is not the law. So it's up for you as the chair and then the board, if they overrule your decision, to make a ruling on that from a board rules and parliamentary procedure. But I do think that getting it on the agenda is a necessary step.
Mr. Chair, I would move that we amend the agenda to include the resolution to vacate, whatever the word is, the number of the previous resolution.
Understood. So what we have before us is a motion made by Commissioner Sample, but I anticipate based on the point of information and point of order raised by Commissioner Nakagiri, Commissioner Sample would like to withdraw his motion at this time.
I withdraw mine and I'll second his.
Commissioner Helserman has made a motion to amend this evening's agenda to add new item K as a motion to rescind resolution number 2026 02022.
Actually, it would be L,
Oh,
I think.
Each- okay. Well, it's the new K, and then that way we can address this right now.
Okay.
And then the old K would become L.
You want it as 11L. Look, you guys are making this
I-
about as difficult as it can be. So where would
Understood.
you like it?
No, it will be the new 11K. It will be the
Okay.
new 11K, current 11K. will
And
have
that's a
become L.
motion to rescind 2026-02022, correct?
Motion to rescind resolution number 2026-02-022.
Okay. Okay,
That was made by Commissioner Hausman and seconded by Commissioner Sample. Again, this is just a motion to amend the agenda to add this item to potentially take it up for action. Commissioner Sample.
Yeah, I'd like to see this added to tonight's agenda so that I could at least have an opportunity to discuss why I'd like to rescind that motion. So I'd ask for the board's support to move this on so we could further discuss the idea of taking a bond forward before we make a pretty large, long-term financial decision.
Any additional discussion?
Support.
It will take 2/3 of the board to approve this. That's 6 members. All those in favor, please
Like
say,
a roll call, vote, please.
and we have a roll call vote.
Commissioner Helserman,
Yes.
Commissioner Domas,
Yes.
Commissioner Sample,
Yes.
Commissioner Nakagiri,
No.
Commissioner Drick,
Yes.
Commissioner Deaton,
Yes.
Commissioner Panovich,
Yes.
Commissioner Fiani,
Yes.
and Commissioner Gross.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. At this time, the agenda has been amended to have a new 11K.
We should move the resolution to rescind the prior resolution 26-022. Support.
Moved by Commissioner Sample, supported by Commissioner Domas. That's a motion to rescind resolution number 2026-02-022.
I guess I'll start.
And I'll open up for discussion, Commissioner Sample.
So I'll offer this with apology before I get started to make this meeting any longer than it has been. The reason I don't agree with this is I think it underscores the effort in the prior board and this board to retain the funds to pay for the tower project. I also started thinking about if in private business, would I do it? So unfunded liability is an unrecognized debt by this county. And if this county needs more money, it's going to be on its debt service if we bond the towers and then exhaust that money into that. If that was the idea that we did. I think there's better opportunity out there to use bonding successfully for large capital projects that may come before us. I also think that it doesn't rely on the fact that our numbers could go in the opposite direction, which would further make us continue to make payments in excess, plus continue to do these bond payments for the time going forward. So I think, the towers are pretty much, or the idea of the towers have been funded. We've expensed money into the project already. I think we should be forward-looking and future planning for bonds if that's the route we want to take. We should separate that from what kind of approach this board would like to take of handling the other item that we discussed. That's kind of where I'm at with things.
Any additional, Commissioner Hauser?
Okay, so a rescinding of this will not rescind our last vote. Is that correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's correct.
Okay, that's.
But
the next step, if you've rescinded the first one, is it begs the question, what are you going to do with the current one, which is amending the first one? So you may have other action here. I'm just answering the question that's being presented now, which is this motion only addresses the prior resolution, which you've just amended.
That is a good point. With that being said, just from a procedural standpoint, what we could do is bundle the two resolutions together. So we would rescind the first one, and then it would be bundled by rescinding the second one. We would just need to either amend current motion on the table.
I'd leave it like you have it, because the next thing you could do is a motion to reconsider the one you just approved prior to this motion.
And then we wouldn't need agenda amendment either.
Correct.
That is a good point. Yes, yes. So
Is the reconsider a 2/3 vote?
No. So your board rules require a 2/3 vote only on a second reconsideration or a reconsideration at a later date. So during your current meeting, good thing I had this up, huh? It's a simple majority to do a motion for reconsideration.
Glad we got an attorney here tonight. Oh, we'll get a couple.
So any other discussion or comments regarding the motion on the table? Commissioner Nakagiri.
Yeah, I have a question for my colleague, Commissioner Sample. So if you could address the question after I make my points here. I'm not familiar with the term unrecognized debt, and so I would ask for clarification of that term. So I conclude there's concern that if the market declines, which, the market goes up and down, the monies that we just put into MERS now is, I'll say not, is less effective than it could have been. And when the market decline, but I would say this, when the market declines, because it will at some time, we will still have to make our bond payment, but we will have to make a higher MERS payment. That's those two things are certainties. If we go ahead and do the bond payment, if we do the bond route, the market declines and our MERS payment's going to go up. Our bond payment's going to stay the same. However, we are and our current plan are going to be paying more than we need to make our MERS annual required contribution. So it is possible that our overall payment of the bond and the MERS won't change. So.
To answer your question on the debt, what I mean is the value of unfunded liability is only recognized during, if it was ever to become in receivership. So if you essentially wanted to go borrow money and they look at all your debt you have, they won't assess your unfunded liability as part of the debt that your company or this county is carrying. So essentially it doesn't hurt your ability to borrow and leverage your assets. So when you say we're paying the 7% interest or that's how you say it. What I say, that's our minimum amount of money that we pay into that fund, because it's not fully funded, so it's not gaining that type of interest in the market. So we are self-paying the interest into that fund that the market would have paid if we would have had it in there. To itself, yes. So essentially, this money that we are spending is not going up in smoke. It's going into the pension plan. It is raising the value of the pension plan. It is what the actuaries decided would cure the pension plan in X amount of years. So we are at this point in time doing what we are required to heal our debt in our pension plan. And that debt does not hurt this county's ability to borrow or ability to bond in the future. And we also have
a lot of things coming up where I think we might want to reserve the ability to borrow or bond. Where I hope that we don't use this up now when we have it already funded. So I guess what I'm getting at is I think there's a time frame and a way to deal with that number that we could capitalize on the market interest, but I think that should be money that is left over. What we haven't spent, where we chose to save so we could make a payment so that we are not taking on a legacy debt to pay off a debt that it essentially is not hurting the county. And I hope I explained that right. But that's about the best I got.
I have a question if, from a standpoint of, pension debt, not hurting our ability to, issue bonds in the future. I would ask if it's, pleases the chair to pose that question to, Carrie Blanchett.
Yeah, I'm okay. I support asking that question. So, Mrs. Blanchett, are you
Still with
still
us?
online? Oh, yes, I see her.
Yes, I'm still here. Well, first, the financing that you're anticipating doing technically isn't a pension financing. I mean, Eric would not, if he was in the meeting, would remind you of that.
We definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
It's just for simplicity purposes, that's how
Yeah.
we do it. But thank you.
Yeah. It certainly isn't going to impact your ability to do additional debt. I think Commissioner Nakagiri's analysis, reality is that if you put this toward your pension liability, the probability is that you should be ahead, not, behind. Because your payments, you're gonna pay down that liability, which is, you're gonna get it at a higher, you'll get more credit because your investment returns can be greater than what you're gonna pay on this debt if you stay within your thresholds. But in the end, it's what you want, what this board wants. So, but it's not gonna impact your ability to issue debt.
Thank you.
Commissioner Gross?
I've got a question. If Moody's, who does the bond, AAA bond ratings and has given us a AAA bond rating for ad infinitum, just about, if they took into consideration the unfunded pension liability in their calculations, would we still have a AAA bond rating? I don't know if we can answer that.
So I see that Mrs. Blanchett is muted.
Yeah, okay.
You're,
They
yes.
do take into account your unfunded pension liability in your rating.
Okay, so if we still have a AAA bond rating and they have taken into consideration our unfunded pension liability, what's wrong with that?
Yeah, I take it that's a rhetorical question.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's my understanding that you're saying if we have this unfunded liability and we still have a AAA bond rating, where would the sense of urgency need? Why would there be a sense of urgency? Yeah, true. Yeah.
I can give just a real quick 30,000-foot overview of where we are currently with our funded status. Is that okay? So we're at 81% funded, which is good. That's better than most. 10 years ago, we were 70% funded, so we've made quite a bit of progress. The strategic plan that just a few minutes ago is no longer current, set a plan for us to be 80% by the end of this year, and we've surpassed that. And so even though it's a big number, we're doing well. We've been chipping away at it over time. And so I don't think it's seen as a negative by Moody's or by anybody else because, again, we're further ahead than most would be. I just wanted to add that in.
Thank you. Any additional questions or comments? Commissioner Hausman?
So this is something that we could do now. We could do it in a year, we could do it in 2 years. The benefit would be the same no matter when we did it. And the question that, my question is, I'm for this unless it hinders our ability to bond in the future. So that's, so in my mind, it's a sound idea. The question is only the timing. Is this the timing to do it? Because we will get a benefit no matter when we do it. And my only question is, are we getting in the way of future progress that we couldn't make if we do this move now?
I was just going to say, we don't have an unlimited amount of time. This has to be done. If I remember correctly, I was just talking to our bond counsel, 18 months from the time of our first payment on the tower project. If we go beyond that, we can't be reimbursed for that project. And so we're well within that now. We just made our first payment late November, I think, last year.
Okay.
But we don't have an indefinite amount of time. And you wouldn't have to do it tonight, but you would have to do it before that reimbursement period expires.
Any additional comments or questions? Well, we might as well proceed with the vote then. What we have is a motion to rescind resolution 2026-02-022. That means rescinding the financial strategy to employ bonds for the towers. May we have a roll call? Yes, a yes would say you wish to rescind that resolution. A no is to say you wish to keep it intact and proceed forward in that manner. Commissioner Sample, I saw your hand.
I was gonna ask you to clarify that part. Thank you.
So a yes would be to rescind that and to not proceed forward with the bonding strategy.
I have a question for Commissioner Nakagiri, if the chair would allow.
Yes.
What's the amount of money we're losing if we rescind? And when would that come in? I think the whole thought was that we would be gaining money on this.
Yeah, I'd have to go
And
back into my notes, I think.
Roughly is okay. And about when would we be losing it? This year, 5 years, when would we be, or gaining the money?
I really don't know. I mean, I'd have to go back and look at my notes from before. I believe it to be substantial, as in, that if we did bond, we're going to lower our annual required contribution, from MERS, because we don't owe MERS as much money. Our plan was just to keep paying what we're paying today.
Yes, the 117.
Yeah, and that net favorable to the county, I believe it, I'm just going by memory, is in the, $1 million a year range, so.
Commissioner Gross, is that your recollection?
Yeah, my recollection was that we went ahead with the bonds, made the payment on MERS, that realized a savings of several $1 million over the lifetime of the bond issue.
And we're bonding for 30 years?
No. It'd be maybe 13, probably 9.
10 or 13 years.
And
Yeah, actually, no, I appreciate Commissioner Gross saying that, because, on a, over a 9-year span, we would save about $7 million. So I would say that it'd be 800,000 a year.
I don't want to interject if there's another commissioner, but I do want to inquire about that. My recollection was that over the 9 years, we would save a net of $2 million total. And that's based upon the market, the money we're infusing into the market through MERS now growing over that time period. Would you?
Yeah. I guess a disadvantage of putting something on the agenda without having prep time. But yeah, so it is not insubstantial, that's for sure, that I can.
I just want, yes, yeah. And I agree, $2 million is notable. There is the market volatility and market risks. So for example, if the market did take a downturn, then that potential 2 million, the net 2 million over 9 years, we could actually, lose not only that 2 million, but more than that. And I fully recognize that the market over time trends upward, but just in the near future, over I'll say that 10-year period, 9-year period, that would be a potential. Whereas the point that Commissioner Sample raised, yes, Commissioner Nakagiri.
No, I'd say, I'll dig out my notes and send them out, but, because I did look at, I'll say stress testing. I don't know if you remember that. I had forgot about that. And so, looking at, the worst that MERS did in a period of time versus just to see how we would do under poor MERS return, and we still are, it was still a substantial savings.
Now, may I just clarify that when you reference the 7% that MERS charges us on interest, and as Commissioner Sample noted, it's essentially paid to ourselves, because what MERS is saying is, had you had this money in the bank or in the market, you would have had a return of 7%. So we want X amount plus 7% for the money you didn't have in the market. So when the issue is brought up about us potentially losing money, would you concur that we're not ever losing money? There's just potential opportunities to let our money work for us in the market, as opposed to us investing it into MERS at that 7% rate by a one-time capital infusion.
I'm not sure that I follow what you,
So if we, I'll try and rephrase it. If we take 12 million at one time and we infuse it into the MERS pension plan, that 12 million is going to have a return based on market circumstances. It could go up, it could go down. We could actually lose some of the principal, but who knows? If we don't infuse that 12 million though, then we continue to pay that 7%, but we're paying 7% to ourselves. We get to keep it. We're paying it out of our annual general fund budget.
yeah, but that's, yes, I follow the rationale saying, hey, we're paying ourselves, but you're using 7% on which you have to pay MERS, and that is money that we could have used for other general fund or special revenue fund obligations. That's, that's the key, in my mind, a key point.
And that's where it led me down this path with Commissioner Sample mentioned it. There would still be potential opportunities to bond for items. Like we could have future, I actually, as you are, there's a handful of items that are going to be 6 figures coming up within the next year or two. And so we could have smaller bonds for that and employ the same fiscal strategy. And I guess that wouldn't be a decision needed to be made this evening, but one concern I have, and I'll say it was Commissioner Sample's perspective that played a role in my my train of thought, is we pay ourselves essentially 7% right now, but if we bond, we'd be paying somebody else 3%. So in fact, it is a lower interest rate, but 3% is going to somebody else, and we have to hope that the market has a greater return, at least within the near future.
Well, I think you hope that whether we invest.
Yeah, no matter what, so.
No, yeah, there is uncertainty because we're talking about this, the stock market, the bond market. And so I wish I could say, hey, this is 100% certainty. But, if the market tanks, we're going to have to pay more to MERS, but we're going to have to pay more to MERS whether or not we invested $12 million or not.
Commissioner Sample.
I would agree that if you put this lump sum in there, that it's gonna outperform this, what we're putting into it over time. It'll pay probably pretty good dividends. Alls I'm getting at is I don't think that we should take on debt to remove debt. I think we have the ability to make additional payments in the future by using excess funds or different things, or we bond a project in the future for lesser amounts. The problem I have is you're taking on a large bond for a long term, where shorter bonds can be taken on at shorter terms for different projects. Plus, we retain the bondability in our leveraging by not taking on that size of a bond. So I don't think there's anybody that would argue if you dump a whole, $12 million into something that's gonna look pretty good in 10 years from now. So that's, it's just, that's my philosophy, that it can be handled a different way, and that these towers are already they're already on the road.
Commissioner Nakagiri, any
No, I don't have any other thoughts.
questions?
Could I call the question?
Well, so I know where you're going. That would require another vote, and our Madam Clerk has been very patient with us this evening, so.
All right.
It's my understanding that there's a desire to vote on this. So again, what we have before us is the motion to rescind previous resolution. If you wish to rescind, you would vote yes. A yes would mean we will not proceed with the bonded strategy for the towers and succeed in MERS payments. May we have a roll call vote?
Commissioner Sample.
Yes.
Commissioner Nakagiri.
No.
Commissioner Dreck.
Yes.
Commissioner Deaton.
Yes.
Commissioner Panovich.
No.
Commissioner Fiani.
Yes.
Commissioner Gross.
Yes. Yeah.
Commissioner Helserman.
No.
And Commissioner Domas. Motion to rescind passes.
Thank you. So we should address the next item, which is Resolution 2026-04-050. There a motion to reconsider.
So move Sample.
Support those.
So I have a motion on the table made by Commissioner Sample, second by Commissioner Domas. The motion is to reconsider Resolution 2026-04-050.
So we have to vote to reconsider, then vote on it.
That's correct. Yes. May we have a roll call, please?
Just one moment. I don't have enough forms, but I'm making it. Okay. Commissioner Sample.
Yes.
Commissioner Nakagiri.
Yes.
Commissioner Dreck.
Yes.
Commissioner Deaton.
Yes.
Commissioner Panovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Fiani.
Yes.
Commissioner Gross.
Yes.
Commissioner Helserman.
Yes.
Commissioner Domas.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. That was the motion to reconsider. All those, I suppose would it be proper to take a motion to rescind? Or, because
You
we
could
have
do that.
motion to, okay,
It's either a motion to rescind or another motion to approve it, and then the vote shakes out how it shakes out.
motion by Commissioner Sample to rescind resolution 2026-04-050. Is there a second?
I'll support it.
Second by Commissioner Domas.
The yes vote rescinds and no vote keeps it as such.
That's correct. A yes vote would rescind the resolution. A no vote would keep the resolution intact. I will say that would be very difficult since we just rescinded its preceding resolution. All those,
What does that actually mean if we say, no, we don't want to rescind it? Because I think logically, we have to rescind it.
I agree with that. That was actually the basis for my question earlier in the evening, but I think from a procedural standpoint, we keep it.
Have we in effect rescinded it?
I personally thought we did, but I understand the logic and philosophy as to why it was not, because even though it is a resolution that is addressing another resolution, it's still a resolution that is living and independent.
It stands on its own merit now. So procedurally, in order to effectuate this entire thing, so it's clear in the minutes, this is the correct procedure to address that.
Thank you. So a yes motion would rescind resolution 2026-04-050. Sorry, I think I said a yes motion. What I meant was simply a yes. So all those in favor to rescind, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed. Motion passes 9-0 to rescind. Is there a motion to adopt resolution authorizing the remount of an ambulance deemed a total loss following collision?
So move Deaton.
Support Helserman.
Moved by Commissioner Deaton, supported by Commissioner Helserman. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Is there a motion to approve the claims dated April 27th, 2026? Payables dated March 23rd through April 13th, 2026.
So move, pay the bills.
Moved by Commissioner Deaton. Is there a
Support.
second? Supported by Commissioner Domas. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Approved 9-0. And this time we have the second call of the public. If you wish to address the board, please provide a card.
Is there anybody left?
You will have 2 minutes.
I do have some cards. So the first is Vincent Coppola from Howell, Michigan, followed by, I believe it's Danica Muck. Yes. I have more than 2 cards, correct.
Good evening. Danica and myself are Livingston County 4-H members and want to take a few minutes to share some of the programs we were able to participate in due to the support of MSU Extension. We are also 4-H State Youth Leadership Council members, a statewide leadership council that provides youth voice and perspective on the development of 4-H programs and curricula. I am Vincent Coppola, and this past year I was able to participate in many opportunities. One of the highlights was the 4-H Ignite program in Washington, D.C. Through this program, I was able to experience the Community Accelerators track workshops. These workshops were all community leadership focused for youth, and I was able to take part in a variety of activities, all centered around making change in the community. One of the workshops I participated in was the Community Accelerators track keynote speaker workshop. I was able to hear from a speaker who was a youth leader in his community and learn about how he was able to drive for a change and what obstacles stood in his path and how he overcame them. Through the Community Accelerators track, I was able to see what impact youth involvement in the community can have, and it has prepared me to do more within my own community. While I was at Ignite by 4-H, I participated in the Lead to Change program. The Lead to Change program is a program to give youth the tools to start their own projects in the community that aim to help others. My Lead to Change project focuses on bringing free basic automobile repairs to low-income houses who otherwise can't afford to repair their cars. One of the other 4-H events I participated in was the 4-H Capital Experience event in Lansing. I was a part of the education issue group, and together we learned how to properly research and write a bill before presenting it to our peers. At the event, I learned about Michigan's legislative process and had the opportunity to meet and talk to multiple lawmakers and lobbyists. All these 4-H experiences I have participated in this year have built in me strong leadership skills and prepared me to drive for a change in my community. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak about this.
Danica Muck from Iosco Township, followed by Steve Williams.
Good evening. My name is Danica Muck, and one of my highlights from the past year of 4-H was when I was asked to speak at the Michigan Capitol. A small piece of what I shared in this speech was how 4-H has shaped me into being a better leader, making sure I have an open mind and stay calm in tough situations. But it doesn't stop there. I'm learning new things every day on how I can grow not only as a leader, but as a friend, a coworker, and a citizen of every community. The sense of confidence and empowerment that I have gained through 4-H is impeccable. It has also led me to speak about and take action about things I find important to me. One of my very close friends felt bullied and unappreciated, and she let those negative thoughts affect her to the point she made a life-altering decision. She was so kind, loving, and enthusiastic about all things in life. She was an amazing, and for one brief moment, let someone make her believe she wasn't. Because of Karis, I created a class called Words Have Power. 4-H staff has helped me to fulfill my dream of sharing this message by helping me to create a class and giving me a platform to teach it statewide. Now I am part of 4-H Teens as Teachers program and will be able to continue this path and helping others teaching mental health and emotional wellness classes across the state and concentrating heavily in Livingston County. 4-H members are leaders of tomorrow, but more importantly, we are leaders of today. Through your support, we can continue to share our talents in every community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Steve Williams, Marion Township. That's the last card I have.
Thank you.
Well, take a couple minutes. Very well said, you guys. I was afraid of being punished, but you gotta stay here all day. Well said.
That was half your time.
And you guys are wearing me out. And I gave you this because, again, it's a reminder, you can ask for reports from the court. You can ask for reports from scale. The details are here. But you know, I've told you that Google is your friend. But even with that, you can't get the details on Google. However, if you look at that county performance in 2021, when we talk about money, because you're all about money, right? 79 to 8% collection rate on child support. So with the state average, Michigan was past due an average of $4.19 billion past due child support. We're 2% of the population for the state of Michigan. So you gave me plenty of time to do the math. That's $83,800,000 owed to your citizens, right? We already know, we agree, 60% of the budget goes to public safety. The courts are among the most expensive departments, if not the most expensive. The only ones that could compete would be the sheriff if you included the jail. I know that at least one of you has expressed concern that maybe they're overstaffed. I don't know how it could be. $83 million of outstanding, and I can't tell you that's the exact number because we don't publish it, but you know who has those numbers? The courts. You know who can request those numbers? You guys. Why is it you're so worried about the pennies and you have a whole bunch of other people out there? I mean, I don't even know how many residents because they don't publish the number of cases, but that should be available to you. Those people are not being paid. The cost of a child does not go down because one parent isn't paying for them. And remember, these are court orders. This is not an estimate. This is not an agreement. These are legally binding court orders that are not being obeyed. In my case, it doesn't have to do with the money. We don't really care. We want my stepson to be safe and cared for and not have to be involved in any more life-threatening auto accidents or to be parentally kidnapped. That's why I send out the things about the Rowan Act. But again, $83,800,000 if you do the math, and we're at the average. And we have one, according to Google, we have one of the highest rates of unpaid child support. Thank you and good night.
I did receive one more card, Chuck Wright, Handy Township.
I appreciate everybody that's concerned about bonds and debt and trying to keep the rating of the county good. But I'm really surprised about this evening's vote. It seems like we passed up a good opportunity to make some headway with MERS and come out ahead financially. So I'm still confused by the vote. I got to think about it some more. It doesn't make sense to me. And I'm surprised you guys have done this. Thank you.
Mike Staton, Marion Township.
I want to say, Commissioner Sample, I loved your prayer. I think you should do that every meeting. That should become your job. And Nick, congratulations on your award. I just got a few things to say tonight. I want to come and say, first of all, how much I respect you guys and admire you for the job you do. And sometimes I'm afraid to come and speak that I'm going to make a fool of myself, but after what I've heard tonight, the bar's been set pretty low, so I think I can handle it. When people, there's only one truth when you quote from the Bible, when they want to use the Bible as their truth. There's not many truths. There's only one. And you can extrapolate out of the Bible things that it doesn't really say or doesn't really mean if you don't take it in context and understand what it's saying. For an example, I could, and I don't believe any of it, don't take that I believe because I use these examples. But you go to the Old Testament and God told the Jews not to intermarry with the other races, the other countries around them. You could extrapolate out that interracial marriage is not right. You go to Corinthians and Paul says that a woman shouldn't speak in church. Well, if you don't understand the whole context, it's not what he's really saying, but you could say that a woman shouldn't speak in church. You know, we want to deal sometimes with God or Jesus in a way that it's all about love. But he's also a righteous God, a God of judgment. We obey the laws. All our leaders, including you guys, are put in power by God, and we're to respect you. So when Frank's praying and I hear one of these so-called Christians say Trump's Hitler, and they said that tonight, they're not following the Bible. They don't know it. So thank you, gentlemen.
Stephanie Booth, City of Howell.
Tough act to follow. Oh, boy. Where do I start? Okay. Just as a point of order, and I think insinuating people are gaming the system is very rude, just to be honest, especially if it's legal. And I'm curious if this amending the validity of the signatures will actually fly with the state. It seems to me you're putting the public safety at risk by allowing this road to flood over the crossing. So you're actually putting public safety at risk and depending on the whims of an HOA to do that. Oh, yeah, and I still stand by my previous statements. It's interesting Wilford was able to call a commissioner by name, so I ought to be able to do it as well. I noticed there was no correction there, so he pointed out Helserman goes door to door with Christian literature. So I have a right to redress my government, and I find you very discompassionate, very self-serving people. Thank you.
No further cards at the time.
Thank you. Does anybody else wish to address the board? Is there anyone on Zoom who wishes to address the board during this call to the public?
I do not see any, Commissioner.
Thank you. At this time, we'll close the call to the public and open up the commissioner comments. Any commissioners wish to speak? Commissioner Domas.
Just a thought, I want to commend our young 4-H members for their perseverance. And I know that's what it takes to become a good 4-H member. And thank you for being here and come back and see us again.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Alderman.
Moved by Commissioner Deaton, supported by Commissioner Helserman. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, we are adjourned.